my, ladies and gentlemen, we are here today. The lights are off. We ain't playing no damn scallywagging games. We're here today on the show after the weekend. There's a lot of things we could be thinking about saying right now. I guess over the weekend, the only thing that I really have to complain about over this last weekend that we experienced is I was in a car with a very attractive lady. Okay, we'll say she's very beautiful. We were driving down the road, and up ahead, I saw a GMC dealer. Okay, I know this is random, but hey, this is a very true story. I think everybody needs to hear it. I saw a GMC dealer, and in the parking lot at the back of it, I saw 3 brand new Ford Broncos. Okay, 3 brand new Ford Broncos, Sean. Did you hear about this? Sean's on the couch. He's passed out. Got some back problems. That's fine. 3 brand new Broncos. And we get closer. She's like, oh, what color is that? I was like, I don't know. Let's see it. We get close to it. We get close to the Ford Bronco, and it's Hummers. It's the brand new electric Hummer that we've all been seeing the commercials about. And it's like, I saw that, and I was like, what the hell is wrong with these damn people today? What's wrong with GMC? What's wrong with GM? Okay, you look over and you see the Ford Bronco looks kind of cool, and you roll something out that looks just like it. Who the hell wants that? And she started nodding. I agree with you. I agree with you. I agree. And I'm like, yeah, I mean, we want different flavors of different looking cars. We don't want the new Hummer to look like a damn Ford Bronco. We want the new Hummer to look like something different that's new. Not something that looks cool that's new, but something different. We want to, and it goes back to the trucks are all now looking the same. You can't tell the difference between a Ford, a Dodge, and a Chevy. Kind of a Dodge, but that's because of the redheaded situation. We're going to get into that. If you know the origins of Dodge, obviously you know that there was a redheaded person that started Dodge. But anyway, I go on this little tangent about how this damn Hummer looks exactly like these 4 Broncos. And then I said, and this girl is very well put together, has everything going for her. I said, you know what, though? That goes for you, too. She goes, what do you mean? I go, well, at the end of the... Oh, what's going on here? Oh, my phone's going off. Why is my phone going off? Oh, it's telling me to be quiet, I guess. The phone is talking to me. This is scary, actually, ladies and gentlemen. Wow, it's asking me if I'm scary. Is the phone trying to shut me down on this point? The phone don't want to know the truth. Even the phone is saying, stop where you're at, Chaz. We don't want you to continue, because I'm about to make a point that even she couldn't deny. I said, you know what, though? That Bronco and that Hummer was kind of like you, or it's kind of like you. And she goes, what do you mean? I said, you women out there, oh, God, there's why the phone was trying to stop me. Y'all see a girl with some lips or some butts or some breasts or whatever, and y'all want to have the same look. Y'all all want to inject yourselves in your eyes. Connie, you know this. Connie's over here shaking her head, yes. Well, I don't know if she's shaking her head, yes, or she's about to throw something at me. But there's this look of a girl that looks pretty, right? And y'all are all out there trying to obtain that same look, just like GM looked across the way and saw that Ford Bronco looking all cool and come out with this new fucking Hummer that looks just like it. But we're all sitting here saying we don't want the same. We want something different. Right? So, this is a message for GM and the women out there. Just because you see something else that looks so damn special and so damn hot, don't mean it's the only thing we want to see that's new and different. We want to see something different, all right? So stop trying to replicate yourselves with your hair and your makeup and your injections and all that. Connie's over here shaking her head, hitting her vape. Oh, my God. She's about to pull the torpedoes out. That's exactly what I mean, Connie. That's exactly what I mean, Connie. But anyway, I'm just saying, I thought that was a good point. We all could shake our heads and sit here and say, we don't want a Ford to look like a Chevy. We want something different. But then in our own life, even guys are susceptible to this with the house and the cars and the jobs and the careers and all this. We want different in life. That's just what we all want, right? So stop trying to look all the same. We don't want drones. We cannot let Elon turn us all into like little drone people or something, or you're going to be replaced by robots. Speaking of being replaced by robots, I would say we have this chat in here, but the chat is not listening. The chat is being very mean tonight. We have a very, no, hold on. Maybe somebody in the comments is actually smart and privy to what I'm trying to say here. All the girls try to look like Kardashians now. Exactly. Hold on. I'm about to break the table. Exactly, ladies and gentlemen. What he just said. All the girls are trying to look like the Kardashians now. Right. And that's what I was making the point to her. And she goes, oh, well, that's a pretty good point. Because the Kardashians, newsflash, women, the Kardashians, yeah, it's a Ford Bronco. It looks really nice. It looks great. It looks grand. But we don't want, not everybody wants the Ford Bronco, okay? We need you to come out with a Hummer that looks different. So stop buying into the cosmetology industry, the aftermarket fucking surgery departments and all these pharmaceuticals trying to make you look like a fucking Ford Bronco, all right? We want some uniqueness. We want a Hummer that looks right. So stop trying to just emulate these fucking Kardashian Bronco chicks. That's all I'm saying. It was a very good point. It was a very good point. I thought it was. We have some big news coming onto the show today. We have some a big interview. This interview, the channel might get shut down today, and that's all right because I like the damn truth, just like I'm telling the truth to all these women who are gonna hate me after all this. That's fine. Hate me. That's fine. Speaking of women, where are they at? We got one thing we got to bring up and talk about. Hold on, wrong screen. This situation right here. Jade Avedisian, even though we got the midgets coming up on the West Coast, Kyle Busch going to be running, Kyle Larson going to be running. Is Chris Bell going to be running? Apparently now there's a question mark. We're going to talk about that today with our guest who is kind of connected to Chris Bell in a way, regionally at least, or regionally based. Jade Avedisian puts a clip out today. It's with a heavy heart that I've decided to step away from dirt racing for the rest of the year. This is horrible news. The best female race car driver we have right now. I do believe this. I've been dealing with an injury since the BC39, and despite working with amazing doctors, I need time to heal properly and avoid making these things worse. It's been a very hard decision because I have so much love and passion for dirt racing, but I need to get my body back to 100%. I can't express how much fun I have had the last few years and proud of what we have accomplished. I know I have years ahead of me, and this is the best decision. Thank you. Now, the side argument to this explanation is it sounds like taking a step away from dirt. Because why would you say you've had, this so much fun the last few years if you're going to come back and race dirt next year? So Jade Avedisian moving on to asphalt where the competition's not as hard as dirt. That'll be good for her. Unfortunately, though, suffering an injury, and she's going to go race some other things. To me, this comes across as I'm done with dirt racing, which is unfortunate. I think Jade Avedisian should be maybe a high-limit driver, a World of Outlaw driver. This is the dirt track racing's closest thing to a Hailie Deegan. Honestly, way better than Hailie Deegan. Jade Avedisian could drive race cars way better than Hailie Deegan. I don't know if Hailie Deegan could even do half the things that Jade does. But this is an unfortunate loss if we do lose her. Or if we do lose her to asphalt racing, this is another loss for our division of motorsports. Very sad, very unfortunate. Very sad, very unfortunate situation. Now to the situation at hand. And like I said, midgets, we got Kyle Busch coming up, Kyle Larson coming up on the West Coast swing that they're about to do. We plan on being here for that. But we have another situation at hand that may be a little bit bigger. Of course, the other day, we saw the All-Star Circuit of Champions make their return. It was a headline video piece here on the channel. Go check it out. We talked about a lot of things in that piece. But on the same day, after we were done reacting to that scenario, we get here on our Facebook and see a post from Fast on Dirt, which Fast on Dirt kind of became the staple for 410 wing sprint car racing after the absence of the All-Star Circuit of Champions. They became the premier, I would say, 410 wing sprint car series of Ohio when the All-Stars took all their drivers and support and everything to high limit to boost their initial year. We come onto Facebook and see from Fast on Dirt this new headstone of Ohio, at least for this season. And there's a post that says, in light of today's announcement, we feel we need to clarify where we stand in the state of the industry for 2025. This is after the All-Star post. At the conclusion of the 2023 season, we were contacted by the High Limit organization and asked to operate Ohio Sprint Speed Week under the FAST banner for 2024. After being the first Speed Week to run 9 races in 9 nights at 9 different tracks. Wow, PA, when can you ever do that? I don't know if you ever can. Discussions began to make the purses bigger and better in 2025. Almost all tracks were back on board with us. In late October, the High Limit organization contacted me and asked me, we're going to get to who me is, to dissolve the Fast Series. I was offered a position in the rebirth of the All-Stars as the race director under Rich Farmer, which is the person appointed to the new All-Star Series that's coming next year. After spending 7 years building the Fast Series into a true touring regional series, I chose to decline their offer and continue to own and operate Fast. We plan to move confidently forward in 2025 and beyond. We have more than 20 races already scheduled and several more in negotiations. Ultimately, it will be up to the Ohio racetracks to decide the fate of Speed Week. As for the competition in Ohio, keep in mind the All-Stars and Fast have coexisted for many years. We look forward to seeing everyone in 2025, all these things. So we all see this. This was huge. There's 500 reactions. There's hundreds and hundreds of comments, shares, and everything like that. We needed to figure out what the hell is actually going on with this situation. And we have the me in this conversation, Aaron Fry, on the line. He's been listening this entire time. We just read what he posted. We read everything. We built it up. We got it going. Jade Avedisian, I'm sorry to see you leave. We are going to discuss everything in some prime detail on the other side of this prime spot. We will be right back with Aaron Fry on the line. Have you been searching for that next level upgrade? Ready to invest into something that is in it for the long haul? Well, look no further than the composited innovations provided by Prime. These customly crafted pieces are handmade by former Jason Johnson Racing car chief and Prime owner-operator Clyde Cadiff. Prime Composite Innovations is located centrally in Missouri and is looking to provide that big-time performance at a fraction of that big-time price. For additional information, visit prime-composites.com today to see what they have to offer, as well as their stable of current full-time drivers that trust Prime with their ride. For the future of innovations, with the properly composited type, you can depend, move forward, and rely on Prime. Oh my God, ladies and gentlemen, he is here. Fast 410 Sprint Car Series. Do we call you owner-operator, Aaron? What do we call you? We got this picture up of you looking like A.J. Foyt just got out the car. Looks like Jan Upperman hit with a brick in the face. What is going on, Aaron? What has happened? Do you at least agree with the Broncos and the Hummer?
I'm just going to have no opinion on that one. I'm just going to say I agree with your Kardashian statement. I'm nowhere near attracted to that type of woman. So
thank you.
Anyway,
thank you. Thank you. Okay, so we got you there. So what's up with this picture of you looking like AJ Foyt? What's going on? I mean, I could see like the hairline maybe matching a Donnie shots, but that's a whole nother situation.
I've been compared to both individuals before, but the picture, for the record, I asked him not to use that picture.
You did.
Hey. I had just claimed that
just
was
like the
Ohio's
women throwing
first,
security out. Just like the women throwing security out. I'm just.
That photo is from Ohio's first 24-hour endurance race that had been held in over 100 years at Atomic Speedway. I had just gotten out of a 3-hour stint on a dusty racetrack. So yeah, I looked pretty rough in that picture, but that's the one Chaz chose to use here today.
Well, you ain't got to say it like that. This sounds like a monumental event. Why are you feeling bad about it? It makes no sense to me.
I'm not feeling bad about it, but yeah, I did race sprint cars for 19 seasons, and I finally hung it up after a pretty bad crash in 2017 in a wingless sprint car, and hoping someday to make a few more laps just so I end on a high note, not end on a crash. A lot of guys are unanimous in that thought. You don't end your career on a crash. You know, you end a career maybe not on a win, maybe just a night you were going forward through the field and call it a good run, and you hang it up on your own terms. So I hope someday to get back behind the wheel, maybe this coming summer.
Well, I mean, I can join you there if you want to have bigger numbers in some of these, you know, who cares, high limit races. Anyway, I'm not going to take too many shots. Hold on. Here's what I want to say, though. So I'm pretty sure I do remember you just mentioned a wingless wreck that you had. I went to a wingless event. I believe it was Mountain View in Tennessee. Robert Ballou was there. A couple other guys were there. And I think you were there, and it was a Boss Series kind of co-sanction event. What do you remember this? I'm slowly remembering you. I'm trying to remove, you know, makeup wipes, you know, back to the feminism off of your face there, and look at what you would look like without, you know, dirt all over your face. I feel like I've seen you before.
Oh yeah, that was a co-sanctioned event. We went to Mountain View. It was COVID 2020, I believe, or 2019 or 2020. The season had been shortened. We don't typically race in the state of Tennessee, but we were looking for places to race, and the option was available to us to go there. We went there for a 2-day show, paid really well. The Tennessee race fans, it was a pretty chilly night. It was pretty late in the year, and the crowd was not the best, but the car quality was fantastic. We had, I believe, right around 30 cars both nights. And the racing was pretty good for such a tight racetrack. That is a neat racetrack, the way it's shaped. But, wow, I don't see how they race late models on it because it was pretty daggone tight for the sprint cars.
Yeah, I almost feel like I need to bring up pictures of this place just because of how I feel like a lot of people have seen it just because it is one of those scenic speedways. It's kind of tucked away in the side of a mountain. There's a gigantic banking. Actually, looks like Ricky Lewis was there. Let me see if I can get a picture up of this a speedway. It is actually a pretty cool little speedway. It's tucked away in some mountains, but the banking there is pretty insane. And it almost has like a little golf course in the center of it. It's kind of crazy how manicured it is. But it was.
Yeah, it was
Go ahead.
It was a pretty new facility, if I'm not mistaken, and yeah, it was pretty well taken care of. They had very neatly cut grass. It was a really nice facility. I felt like it was just a little bit too small to put on good sprint car racing.
Right, and it was bottom dominant. You know, the sprint cars, they don't have the suspension. That's what I try to tell these late model people from time to time. It's like, you know, you as a driver in those late models, even though they're very, you know, high horsepower, they're very fast, you got a 4-link suspension, you know, and that 4-link suspension mixed with that body almost acts like a wing car in a way because it sticks you to the ground so much. Whereas with a non-wing car, especially, not just a wing car, but that solid rear axle makes a huge difference. You know, it changes how you're able to drive, I feel like.
Yeah.
So anyway, I just was rekindling your face here and your eyebrows. You said somebody mistaked you for Donnie Schatz one time. How did this happen? I'm just curious.
Well, this has been many years ago. Donnie and I both were a lot younger, but I was running a World of Outlaw race at Atomic Speedway. Ultimately, it would rain out that night, but early in the evening, I was getting an abnormally, for me, more than two would be a lot of autograph requests in an Atomic pit area with a World of Outlaw show. But my driver's suit was blue and yellow, had some flames on it. My car number, blue and yellow, was number 14. Donnie at the time was in the family number 15, blue and yellow race car, and we're both of us receding hairlines. And I realized what was happening. I think my brother brought it up to me that, hey, they think you're Donnie Schatz, when I wasn't standing right by my particular race car. Then I don't know, it might have been a year before or a year after, I did a little bit of pavement racing as well, and I'm walking along the front straightaway of the racetrack, and the track announcer told the crowd, hey, look, folks, there's Donnie Schatz. Well, I turned like everybody else looking, where's Donnie Schatz? My brother's walking beside me laughing. He said, dude, they're talking about you. So through the years, I've had a few comparisons to looking like the guy, but I don't think so anymore.
Well, I mean, that's up for debate. If Donnie Schatz and AJ Foyt had some kind of non-binary relationship and had a baby, and then it went for 40, 50 years down the road, it may look something like you. You never know. I mean, it's possible. It is possible. It's Ohio. Anything's possible in Ohio. Speaking of what's possible in Ohio, what is the history of this Fast Series? It sounded like you were like a founder of this thing, this situation.
I started the Boss Series for wingless sprint cars in 2011.
Which is not really
got going. Yep, wingless 410 sprint cars. It really got rocking pretty good through the 2013, 14, 15 seasons. As a racer myself, I ran more winged events, especially early in my career. And I have a lot of friends in the wing industry, especially in the southern part of Ohio, that, I raced with for years. A lot of their kids are the ones racing now. But anyway, they would ask me all the time, hey, you forgot about your wing buddies. You don't have anything to do with us anymore. And so, I knew all along I'd eventually get into the wing side of things. And there was an opportunity came up in 2018, and we just threw out there a handful. I think we did 3 races in 2018 under the Boss banner, wing 410 sprint car events, and they went really well. We did Gas City, Atomic Speedway, and the third one was Montpelier, Indiana. And our car counts were all right around 30 cars a show. I remember having 29 and 27 at the 2 races in Indiana, and I think there was a little over 30 at Atomic.
Well, so interestingly enough, that was not trying to stop you, but the All-Star Circuit of Champions was technically operating at that time period, correct?
Oh, they operated for the next 5 or 6 years after that. We've been around together for quite a while.
So what gap were you technically filling there? Because I do think people underestimate how many 410 or wing sprint cars are in the state of Ohio. Like I went there. I was in the southern Ohio region a decent amount this last year, the northern part a little bit. Attica has a slew of cars. Obviously, that's why they had that Fremont Attica kind of series. But then Southern Ohio has a decent amount as well. It seems like the tracks down there are a little more run down, not as premier, not being disrespectful. Just, they're a little more. The Southern Ohio is definitely the redneck side of the state. I'm just saying. But there's still a lot of short tracks or shorter tracks that put on a big race. Unlike Iowa, for instance, there's Knoxville and that's it. Over there in Ohio, there seems to be an abundant amount of cars and tracks that race weekly.
Yeah, there's Sharon Speedway is going to be running pretty much weekly this year. Wayne County Speedway, Fremont and Attica, Atomic Speedway down here. They're not as weekly of a show as what they used to be. But, yeah, we've got quite a few racetracks, and I would say on a given weekend there's close to 100 different 410 sprint cars somewhere around Ohio. They don't all race every weekend, but, there's 100 race cars, I would think, in the state of Ohio alone.
Well, and Ohio's very privileged in a sense. If you think about it, we always give, or at least even I give PA a bunch of credit for being the Hollywood of the sprint car racing industry. You know, I think that's still a very relative, respectful claim. That is where a lot of the parts are made. That's where a lot of big things happen. It's a hub for the sprint car racing industry. But Ohio, when you say that, what other part of the country, period, has 10410 sprint cars racing, and the 305 scene's huge over there too. So you got close to 200 sprint cars racing every weekend in Ohio.
Yeah, it's definitely. I think it's as strong now as it's ever been. When you consider the fact that there are 305s and even 360s, there's still a lot of 360 cars out there running as well. So yeah, we definitely are very blessed here in Ohio to have as many tracks as we do, willing to run sprint cars, and as many drivers brave enough to strap into things.
Do you feel like possibly, and I had this conversation at Skyline where I watched a 410 race actually appear, and maybe that's why I called it redneck. I don't know if you've been to Skyline, but it's kind of redneck. It's a nice place, but it's kind of...
I've raced there a few times, yes. We've never run a show there, but we've raced there a few times.
Well, I went to a race there, and I was kind of saying it does feel like that car count or prowess of Ohio that it should carry kind of gets overshadowed a little bit by Eldora, because you have a lot of guys who race around there, and you have all these tracks, but Eldora is like a whole nother world. You know, it feels like the track, it's a big track. It's not as motor friendly, I guess you would call it, as the other facilities. And it just seems like Eldora garnishes so much attention, rightfully so, that it kind of overshadows all else that is happening in a way.
That's something that we deal with, even with our race series. We have had a few ball shows there through the years. I have spoken to them about trying to get a fast show. We lost Jerry Gappens, unfortunately, who was the manager there at Eldora Speedway, passed away on us. He was trying to work me in a fast show. Levi Jones has taken over the helm there, and Levi and I have spoken. We're looking at ways to maybe try to make something happen, but typically we don't run there very often, but yet every show there affects every racetrack in the state of Ohio.
Right.
So whether I'm running a wing show or a non-wing show, I have to be careful. Yeah. But we try to schedule, like on Kings Royal weekend, I'll try to run my ball series. And whenever they run their 4 Crown Nationals, I'll try to run my fast series, even though they do run, some form of a wing class there, whether it's all-star or high limit or whatever. But we try to be conscious of what's going on at Eldora when we schedule. Even their big late model shows can affect our crowd. We try to get as far away from Eldora as we can on the weekends they're having their premier events, just because even your average race fan, they might be an average sprint car fan, but they go to the World 100 because it's a good place to get drunk and party and see some female anatomy.
Well, we ain't gonna Tyler Carpenter the shit up that much, all right? But no, I agree with you, and that would be another thing that I think Ohio. Honestly, I mean, I'm trying to reconsider myself on calling PA the Hollywood at this point, just because you think of Ohio, it's probably the best out of all the states that respect both and have fans for both 410 winged racing, which is the premier. That's the top fuel of the open wheel, I think. And then also the funny car division, which I would call super late models. Y'all are probably the most balanced state in the country, period. I mean, y'all have premier late model events. You have premier 410 winged events. And I'll tell you, I went to Muskegum this year. This is how I know this. Went to Muskegum for I believe it was a Lucas race. I'm walking across the track before the A-Main. They just put water on it. I don't know if you've been to Muskegum. You probably have. It's got a good banking into 1 and 2. And I slipped and busted my ass in front of 15,000 people, Aaron. And everybody cheered and roared. They thought it was so great. I was sitting there in so much pain. I get up, I grab my hat, and they start cheering. This is the Ohio fan base, Aaron. This is what I'm talking about. Y'all have such a diverse, like you just said, if there's a late model race, it could affect your crowd. Because I feel like your fans over there are so diverse in themselves,
We do. We have a great fan base here in Ohio. Yes, we race twice annually at Muskingum County. We have for the last couple of seasons. I've got to give them a shout out. The Morans there at Muskingum County Speedway, fantastic group to deal with. And we have races there too, scheduled again this year. We're there on April the 26th. And I think the other one's in early August. I believe it's August 2nd. But they gave us a great racetrack last year. Our feature event in April last year, the main event lap times were under the track record, faster than the cars qualified. We had a fuel issue of some of the cars to the front of the pack started running out of fuel. We had the red flag for fuel. I learned, just like anybody else, anybody who's racing, you learn every night you race. I had to learn a lesson that night. We had to shorten our clock. We've always kept an eye on time, for fuel reasons, but motors are bigger and making more power than ever before. And, I had to cut down our time. We're now at 35 minutes at most races under, green, yellow combined laps before we're looking into a fuel situation. And I had been going 40 and 45 minutes prior, depending on the size of the racetrack, but that night was just using a lot of fuel.
It's a big track. It's not small. It's not a small track.
Absolutely. The drivers were not lifting at all. It was hammer down racing the whole 30 laps, and they just used a ton of fuel up. But that's how good the racetrack was at Muskingum. It got a bum rap a few years ago. They had a Speed Week show that got a little dusty under the All-Star banner. But when we've been going there, most nights that we've been there, the racetrack has been phenomenal.
Well, and that's something, kind of attuned. We go across the country, myself, across the world, technically, after Australia. But there is something to be said about regional dirt sourcing. Like, I do feel like there's a lot of tracks, if they're in a certain pocket of the country, their dirt that they race on is a certain way. Like you go to one area, it stays tacky, and then when it goes slick, it's nice and slick for a long period of time, and then it'll rubber down after 100 laps or something. And then there's other parts, it'll, widen out, and once it slicks, it goes rubber in 10 laps. It does seem like Ohio has a good source of dirt, though, on either side.
Well, it varies greatly from racetrack to racetrack. Okay. Some tracks have hauled clay in from outside sources. That's one of the things, there's people who are only brave enough to take a jab at you on the internet. And some of the comments I saw were about dusty racetracks or rocks in racetracks or whatever.
Aaron, I'll just say, Aaron, I ain't seen a bad race in the dust, though. They put on some badass races.
We ran 9 races and 9 nights on 9 different racetracks. I'd like to see somebody go out and find 9 different tracks around Ohio that wouldn't have a couple of racetracks that got a little dusty or some rocks. But we learned a lot of lessons at one of the racetracks this year. We've looked into even trying to help them find clay to bring in. It's a racetrack that's up for sale right now, so it's not hard to figure out which one I'm talking about. But it got a little dusty on us, and we've spoken with them. I've talked to some contractors. I'm in the building industry myself. I own a building material supply company. That's what I do for a living. I do not make a living with Fast and Boss. Hope to someday maybe, but that's, far off. But I've even tried to find sources of clay myself for some of these guys. It's just the expense. If we wanted to get, gumbo clay off of the, the river out there in Iowa like Knoxville has, you can look at the transportation cost. You'd need about 100 dump truck loads, maybe more than that, actually, tractor trailer loads. So it's just not feasible to haul dirt very far. But we've talked about trying to help them find a source for some new clay because we had all 9 tracks ready to come back on for Speed Week, even Fremont Speedway, Rich Farmer's racetrack, all before all this All-Star talk came about. We had pretty well everybody ready to sign back on for 2025.
Well, me personally, I mean, I know dust is an issue, and it should be an issue. I think it would be way more easier to try to find some kind of material or system or maybe put some kind of plastic on the fence and then across the top of the stands to protect the dust from falling onto the people than it would be trying to, source clay from across the country. I think I've seen a lot of good racing squinting my eyes, if that makes any sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And some of the best racing on the racetrack for the drivers, sometimes will happen on a slick racetrack like that. Maybe the fans are having a little trouble seeing, but the wings on these race cars, it's pretty good about elevating the dust and helping the drivers. Sometimes the fans throw a fit and the drivers can see what they're doing better than the fans can see the racing action going on the racetrack.
Right. Yeah, maybe put a plastic film from the top of the stands to the back of the grandstands or the fence or something, but I've seen a lot of good racing on those surfaces. Obviously, you just mentioned Speed Week. All-Stars, this new post they put out, says they're doing Speed Weeks. Obviously, back to your post originally. When I read that post that you made, I always talk about the politics of the sport, and that's the problem with the sport is the politics. I've kind of always called Flo Walmart, and any little small business that wants to, start up, they're coming to get you out of there. That's how I read it, that you were you came in there with this all-star gap, and you had already been there, but you had moved into a position that was a little more powerful, obviously, with Ohio Speed Week. And you had established yourself, in my opinion, after this year with the fans, with the region, with the situation in Ohio, as a mainstay. Nobody knew All-Stars were coming back. And All-Stars tried to be more than Ohio. Like you said, y'all coexisted before. What was that post technically about? Was there any kind of Walmart trying to buy out the local hardware store? What was going on there with this situation? I know we just talked about a bunch of different things. If you want to reset and kind of go from the beginning to the end or pick up on your post there, that's fine. But I am interested to know what actually happened there.
Okay, well, let's go back to what I said before, that I got in the wing market in 2018 with those 3 events, and it was a little confusing to the folks out there because the Boss name had just built a reputation over 7 or 8 seasons that was a non-wing only. And Rich Farmer had been the promoter at Fremont Speedway for several years. He was stepping away from the sport at the time and called me up and said, "Hey, you're confusing people using wing races under that Boss name. I want you to take the Fast on Dirt name." Fast originally stood for Fremont Attica Sprint Title. And he said, "I want you to take it and make it a true traveling series like you do with your Boss series." So, and he was gracious enough. Rich and I were really good friends, and he was one of my biggest allies in the sport.
Question, real quick.
Ever to host a Boss race.
Just a question. Wasn't there like a stiff or an issue between Fremont and All-Stars and Tony Stewart at one point? And is this the same guy who was in a part of that, or what? Do you know what I'm talking about? Am I just like random? Maybe I had a dream. What was that about?
I don't know the details, but I do know they got into it. I believe when Guy Webb, he made some comments at the PRI show that offended a lot of people or something. I'm not sure exactly what happened there, but
it was like an all-star vacancy from Fremont, right?
Yeah, Tony was buying the All-Stars, and briefly there was another series that started up, and I got to be honest with you, I'm struggling to remember exactly the name of it.
That's fine.
But another series was trying to form and pull a battle was already beginning that had nothing to do with me.
Right.
But yeah, things got a little sketchy, and I know there for a while the All-Stars would not race at Fremont. Now, I don't know what was said, whose fault, I don't know. I don't care. I'm not going to speculate on that. But, yeah, Rich stepped away. He gave up Fremont Speedway, was trying to step completely away from racing, and gave me the Fast on Dirt name. So I take it and go through beginning in 2019 and start doing what I do with Boss. We were racing on an average probably of 15 different tracks. We run fast shows in 6 states, Ohio, and every state that borders Ohio. And I've worked hard to build it. And from day one, in 2018, under the Boss name, my goal all along, I grew up as a child watching the All-Stars, watching Rick Nichols put that chalk line down in turn 4, and Bert and Bridget Emick and Gene Lynch, what they did with the All-Star Tour, they were my heroes growing up. And so I wanted to be what the All-Stars were originally. You go back to the 1980s, you look at a fast schedule the last couple of years, it resembles an all-star schedule from the 1980s. Not as many races, but the territory we cover is exactly what the All-Stars were meant to be. So
and that's what you were up until this year?
Right through this season, yeah. We've been covering that territory, and when the All-Stars went away there for a year, it had nothing to do with Speed Week. We took our show that was a $14,500 show and bumped it up to a $19,500 show, trying to help fill the void where the All-Stars were gone.
Right.
And we were hoping to make another step in that same direction. And the grief we caught, so many people felt like that I should have jumped immediately to that All-Star level. But, that's like trying to go up a flight of stairs and going from step 1 to step 7. Good luck with that.
Well, you had the Maverick start. You had other things happen too. Yep. So,
well, and everybody's been coming after us since we got this deal. And the funny thing, the Speed Week thing, the way that came about, they told me several groups or individuals had contacted them about operating Ohio Sprint Speed Week. And I don't know, some of the listeners may remember the old Heinz 57 ketchup commercials where the kid takes forever to get the new ketchup to come out of the bottle. Kid puts it in his upstairs window, goes down and fixes his French fries, sits on the front porch, and the ketchup falls on his fries. So the slogan was, "Good things come to those who wait." All right. I sat back, minded my own business, took care of business, and High Limit called me and asked me to run Ohio Sprint Speed Week for 2024. And I was so grateful for that opportunity because, like I said, I've been a student of the sport. I was a fan before I was
put in the work. Put in the work.
Car owner. Put in the work, and I love Ohio. I'm actually working on a book about Ohio's racing history right now. If you're familiar with Alan Brown's work that did the history of America's speedways, tried to list all the racetracks that have existed in the country. I specialized on Ohio with way more information, and we found almost 100 racetracks that he missed through the years. So my dedication to this state and this sport is unparalleled, truthfully. But I hate to sound arrogant in that respect.
No, I mean, it is what it is. I mean, that's your credentials. So, I mean, don't be afraid of what you've done.
I'm to the point now I own 7 antique race cars and would like to open my own little museum here someday soon. But
Hillbilly High Banks? You talking about like Hillbilly High Bank style with the nickels, or what do you mean?
Well, I'm not familiar with what you're talking about there.
Oh. Well, that nickels over there with the old Tim Sims.
Oh, I got you. No, these I've got a collection of some of them a couple are very historic little race cars. But my son-in-law and I have started working on a couple of them here just lately, getting ready to pull a Corvette motor out of a 1950s race car, the build.
Wow.
And getting ready to pull the motor out of it. And we just found out it's a Corvette 327 Corvette motor out of an early 60s Corvette. So a little bit excited about that one right now.
Wow. So then you get to this point, you get Ohio Speed Week. I'm guessing this year went great for y'all then, right?
The execution of Speed Week, I was as nervous as anybody, going into it. But we pulled it off pretty well with the staff that we had. I took friends and family, guys that have worked for me before, and we went out and put on 9 races. And anybody who's in this industry knows that the guys who race the most run the best, perform the best. The farther we got into Speed Week, the better we got at what we were doing. And we got to night number 9, and it was pretty well unanimous. The majority of us said we could have gone 10, 11, 12, 13 straight if we needed to, because, like I said, we fine-tuned what we were doing. And our shows, with the exception of one race where we had an issue with the racetrack, we had a midget division that didn't want to run on the big track at Millstream, so we wound up trying to prep 2 racetracks. That show ran a little bit late. I believe all the others were completed. Our sprint feature was done before 10 p.m., I believe, on just about every night. And with big car counts, we had 55, I think twice, 53, 51, 50, and then we had some in the 40s. Our lowest car count, ironically, was the $10,000 finale at Atomic Speedway. But that's typical when you go 9 straight nights. The car count's going to fall off because of attrition, guys running out of equipment. And also, Atomic Speedway is so far south from the rest of the racetracks. So it wasn't a huge surprise. I pretty well predicted that would be our lowest car count, but one of our highest payouts.
Nice. So everything goes great. Everything went amazing this year. This is on the request of High Limit. in that organization or group.
Yes. Yes. And by the way, when I say they gave it to me to run it, they gave it to me, and that was it. There was no financial backing. There was no, actually, I don't even think I got a phone call after it was over or anything to ask how it went or, congratulations or anything. Brad did thank me when the phone call here in late October. He thanked me for putting it on and he said I did a good job with it. We did a good job with it. But we pretty much, that was us doing it on our own. And the purses were not as good at all the tracks. The weekend tracks were willing to pay more because obviously you're going to get a better live crowd in your grandstands on Friday and Saturday. But the weekday races, we set up a minimum purse, which was just a little bit better than our standard fast purse. And we had excellent car counts, high car counts at everything, and good crowds. The tracks, all the tracks but one made money. Every track but one. And the one who didn't, by the time they crunched their numbers, they pretty well broke even or got real close to it. And most tracks said they had been losing money for several years on Speed Week events. But we were going to get the purses up this year, and that was planned all along. But it was a tough fight because the tracks didn't want to pay more because they were afraid the all-star talent had been robbed and gone to high limit. Nobody knew what to expect. And
Right.
I saw predictions on the internet. The race fans themselves, they affect things too. We had race fans predicting 20-some cars at every Speed Week race. And one gentleman was nice enough, and if he's listening, he'll know exactly who he is, because he came back on right after Speed Week and was man enough to say, wow, was I wrong? Fantastic car counts all week long. Great job fast on dirt. But the predictions were out there, the naysayers.
That sounds like a Dietrich. Was that a Dietrich?
There's no car. Oh, no. This was just a race fan.
Okay.
But we, he was man enough to say, hey, I was wrong. Fantastic car counts. Everything went better than anybody expected. And you want to know the truth? I knew it'd be better than, I figured we were going to have high 40s, maybe hit 50 cars. I couldn't say it ahead of time because God forbid I was wrong. I'd look like a fool. But I was pretty confident. I usually know what I have coming to the races each and every night. I'm within 3 cars on my car count guesses just about every night. But I had to wait till it was over. But even myself, I was a little bit surprised at how well it went, how smooth it went. And I learned more in those 9 nights than I had learned in the previous 14 years as a race promoter. And anybody who's I don't care what it is in your life. I don't care if it's driving a race car, playing a basketball game, whatever. You're going to get better the more you do it your second time around. That was our first shot at Speed Week with very few people believing in us. And we did a pretty daggone good job with it. That's why all the racetracks wanted us back prior to this debacle we're in now. And I was excited to make changes. I already had a list of items that were going to make my life easier and make Speed Week better, and we were working on getting the purses up. But now we're in, a little bit of drama here, and we'll see what happens.
Well, and it seems like, it's got to be hard to put on a Speed Week to begin with. Have you ever experienced any, did anybody ever try to schedule on, obviously this was kind of like an open year. Did anybody ever try to schedule something on top of this whole Speed Week this year? Or have you ever had any kind of issues like that before?
Okay. That was part of our problem with Speed Week, why it took so long to get it put together and announced. Once it was given to me, another group was trying to form, whether it be a whole series or whatever, but definitely a Speed Week was being plotted to go head to head with my Speed Week. And it was, I hate to just air dirty laundry, but it was Rich Farmer who was talking to the racetracks and putting his own Speed Week together through Dirt Vision.
Whoa, hold on. You got to hold on. Back it down. The person who is appointed to this all-star deal now, although I hear it's a lease, but I don't know if that's true or not. The person who is appointed to this all-star situation now, with High Limit, with Flow, with all these conglomerates, originally was trying to schedule against what they had requested of you?
Exactly. I mean, it's not a secret. Fremont Speedway was a Dirt Vision track in 2024. And I guess...
So we're talking about streaming wars. We're talking about a streaming war.
Ultimately, Chaz, the whole thing is really a streaming war. This whole industry
I've been saying that for years now. I've been saying that. Nobody wants to believe me, I guess. But
okay, well, I for the record, people, we've never had this conversation before. Not like this is scripted, but I didn't know that was the kind of your premise. But the no doubt about it, the powers that be in this industry over the last 5 years, especially, but maybe going back as far as 10 years now, we're slowly letting the streamers dictate our industry and dictate our sport.
Well, I mean, just hearing your little explanation right there, it's like just going based on your post there, how they wanted you to fold up, dissolve, whatever word you want to use to push fast away for you to go work for this guy who tried to technically destroy your work that you planned that was against them to be for them that's now against but for? What the hell is all this? That don't make no sense to me.
That's part of why my fuel and fire to continue on, stay strong, and make our deal bigger and better, because I've never had anything as, in my opinion, unprofessional, anything as insulting as this ever happened in my business life. And I am a multi-business owner through the years, and I was pretty shocked at the way this whole thing went down.
Well, I mean, wouldn't that breed a sense of betrayal? Like, hold on, if I was getting into a relationship with the girl, right? And she's like, hey, I want you to do this for me and this for me, and I go out here and I do all this for me. And while I'm in the process of doing this, I tell the girl, like, hey, there's this guy over here that's causing all kinds of problems on us trying to do this. And she's like, oh, well, just keep do the best you can. Then I go out there and I home run it. And then at the end of the year, after the home run, she comes to me and says, hey, that guy was causing all the problems. I'm actually going to go and sleep with him now. Do you want to come over and be my friend? Like, what the fuck did you just say to me, bitch? I'm just saying. That's how I would take it.
You got me laughing a little bit here, but
it's a very good analogy. That's good. That's like perfect.
It is. But the racetracks ultimately, told him that, they were sticking with me. We were doing this speed week, and he got on board. We had a race at Fremont Speedway.
Okay, so y'all got along.
It was the one that rained. The feature rained out, and we had to go back and make it up. We were the Friday night part of the Jim Ford Classic, which I appreciate very much. And the stigma out there, I saw people on our post saying Aaron Fry and Rich Farmer can't work together. They hate each other. We do not hate each other. Rich, like I said before, there was a time when he was my biggest ally and best friend in the sport. He worked on one of my antique race cars, the first one we ever got running. Rich and I have worked well together in the past, but we definitely have a difference here now. Simply, he stepped away from the sport. I built something, and now he wants what I have, and that's kind of the way I feel about it.
Right. Well, and that's why the woman analogy makes plenty sense, because it's all over the woman. It's this flow high limit deal, flirting with both of you.
But there's something else I want to put out there that I think needs to be cleared up, because since my post Saturday evening, I was contacted by a employee of High Limit that it made them look bad because they never asked me to, I use the word dissolve the Fast Series, exactly the way it was worded. And I can say this with authority, that Brad Sweet's explanation was that they had rolled the All-Star Series into the High Limit Series, and now they wanted me to work with them and roll the Fast Series into the All-Star Series and come to work for them. And there was no contract offered, no specific terms, but threw around the opportunity to be the race director or whatever.
Come on. When I hear that shit, hold on, Aaron. The word dissolve is fine to use there, okay? I hate to keep using this analogy, but that's like the girl coming up to you and be like, I'm going to go sleep in his bed and we're going to go to sleep and wake up the next day. You just simply said you are going to fuck, right? I mean, that's what dissolve means in that scenario. That's what it sounds like to me. I mean, you can word it however you want, but dissolve and what you were explained is the same thing.
Mm-hmm. That's exactly right. I guess I paraphrased in the post, and they didn't like the paraphrasing, but that's exactly what it meant. And if I've learned any one thing, like I told you before, I'm a historian in this industry as well. I've learned from other mistakes through the year, that not the mistakes I've made necessarily, but other series. And I saw what happens when you shelve a name for a year. You don't walk right back in the door. So they were asking me, I wouldn't give up ownership of Fast, but I would, basically shelve the Fast series to go to work for them for a year or two. Hey, you can still own the Fast series. You can bring it back whenever you want. Yeah, right. I see how that works.
Right.
Look at the fight they're in for now. So, no, that's not happening. I'm not, I'm a little smarter than that.
Yeah, you're not the Gummot series. Jesus Christ.
Exactly.
How could they do this? I mean, this is next level. And I don't want to say Flo's the woman like she's, the progressive girl Flo, but I mean, the way this has been played out, that doesn't look good. And it shouldn't look good for Flo in this situation, or anybody in this whole. It's hard to tell, honestly. What is Flo? Is Flo Brad? Is Flo Kyle? I mean, who is Flo? I mean, it's like this they thing now. It's like the military-industrial complex or something. But you are a guy who's built this thing, did everything you could, and had success. This is the sad part to me with your scenario. You did everything right. And then at the end of the day, everything you have done, you're being told to get rid of. And that's just fucked.
Well, they know now that I'm going to try to continue on. I'm not going to try to continue on. I am going to continue on. I guess a little bit of what irritated me was the condescending attitude. It was stated that, we could try to coexist, but didn't see how we would. And we could probably run 12 races, but they were going to set their schedule. By the way, I think you, in that press release, we had over 20 races scheduled. We're now at 24 for 2025, 24
That's good.
events. And that is without a speed week yet. And like I said, it's going to be up to the racetracks. Nobody can have a speed week. I don't care who it is. Steve Kinsler could come over and start a series himself and say, I'm going to do a speed week. You could do a speed week. I could do a speed week. Nobody can do a speed week without these great racetracks in Ohio. We need the racetracks on our side. And right now, I feel the majority of them, they've pretty much all of them have pledged their loyalty to me. We'll see how it develops. But, right now, I feel like I have the tracks on my side. There's a third player involved that a lot of people don't know anything about that was looking at doing another speed week and has some money behind the situation. We have talked, and we're talking about merging forces together. We maybe could rock out a better speed week, possibly the best one ever. And you know what? The 9 races in 9 nights, by golly, if I could book a 10th show just to prove a point, I'd book 10. And we have 3 more racetracks right now that I think would get in. Of course, we'd probably lose one, Fremont Speedway. But I think it'd be pretty easy to book 10 races if we really wanted to do it.
Well, and it sounds like, we kind of hinted towards the streaming wars there, and I've talked about the streaming wars. And in analyzing your situation, has Dirt Vision reached out to you at this point?
I hate to even open this can of worms.
I'm just saying. There ain't no can of worms here. I'm just saying. These are the players. Now, hold on. In Dirt Vision's defense, and I've said this, Flo is Walmart. Okay, Dirt Vision is maybe Ace Hardware in compared to Flo. Flo isn't just Flo Racing. Flo is Flo Wrestling, basketball, blah, blah, blah. You go into Flo and you can get you a damn a half pound of sliced beef, or you could go over the other side and get a new TV and a Nintendo Switch. I'm just saying, you go to Dirt Vision and you just got hardware. You got sprint cars and dirt racing, and that's about it. So Dirt Vision is, in my opinion, behind the 8 ball in this battle. And even though it is a streaming war, Flo is still the giant conglomerate that can take out every small business operator, in my opinion. When I see a situation like yours, and if I am anybody with a hint of sense at Dirt Vision, I'm like, this guy just got fucked. This guy who was Dirt Vision and now just jumped on board with the Flo guys, fuck him. I'm going to support this guy. I'm just saying, this is how I would do it. Has Dirt Vision tried to align with you? Because it seems like you're going to be a staple in Ohio, especially after this all gets out. The truth gets out, which is what needs to get out. You are a racer. You're for the racer. That aligns with Ace Hardware, in my opinion, more than Walmart.
What I said, didn't want to open this can of worms, but maybe this is what it'll take to rattle the cage of the people that need to hear this at Dirt Vision. I've been trying to reach out. I've reached out to Brian Carter and Brian Dunlap both about, trying to set up a meeting to represent. And that's not about this situation. This goes back at least over the last year and a half, because we've been on the cushion, and the cushion has been good to us, but just doesn't have the marketing outreach and the money behind it. And so I've reached out to Dirt Vision to talk because Flo had turned us down. We were originally on another streamer that Flo bought out because they're, again, eliminating the competition.
Walmart.
And when we went to the cushion. We've been on the cushion now for, I think it's this is our 5th year on the cushion. And, they know the cushion, the guys there, they knew that, someday we might outgrow, whatever.
I believe they were the original streamers of the Knoxville Nationals.
They absolutely were. They started with Knoxville. You're right. And Ian there has been great to work with. They've done a good job with, they do both boss and fast, but the frustration on my part is the lack of return calls or setting anything up. I have tried. I have reached out. Everybody asked me why I haven't contacted Dirt Vision. The world can hear this. I have contacted them. They've chosen not to get back with me for whatever reason. But the funny thing is, a little over a year ago, the World of Outlaws tried to start this non-wing extreme sprint car series to get wingless,
and they went after Ohio
content. And they needed content for Dirt Vision for wingless. They wanted to have wingless sprint car racing. I don't usually go around trying to be bragging too much, but I've been doing wing and non-wing 410 sprint car racing now combined the last 7 seasons. I have the content they want. They didn't need to go start a non-wing extreme. My Buckeye Outlaw Sprint Series guys are as hard-working and hard racing as any guys you'll ever come across. And by the way, they also are some of the nicest guys you'll ever meet.
Matt
I take
Westphal.
my boss guys into racetracks, and I've had drivers in other divisions. This is a true story. We're in West Virginia, and a driver from another division comes over to me and asks, "What is wrong with your drivers?" And I was like, "What are you talking about?" And he said, the other sprint car series that come in there, by the way, it wasn't my fast series. It was a different wing series regionally. He said, those guys were a bunch of stuck-up jerks. He said, man, your guys are just pulling in and parking next to us, not off in their own little elite parking lot, and pulling in next to us and talking to us about how our heat race just went. He said, your guys are nice. So you won't find a better group of drivers than the boss drivers, and they race as hard as anybody in this industry and work hard. They're the working man's racer too. The fast guys are too. They're a bunch of working men racers, but they're at a little bit higher level. The Boss Series is the true blood, sweat, and tears of the sprint car world.
Right. Well, that's a big ball that Dirt Vision is dropping right here, because you're going to be the only chance for Ohio Wing 410 Racing after this All-Star deals happen, and they're not going to be the All-Stars of before. Anybody who thinks they're going to be it's ridiculous. They merged the All-Stars with High Limit. All their functioning teams that, in my opinion, that made the All-Stars before they went away are gone. They're High Limit people now. And there's not a lot of teams out there. I don't see any teams that are about to go and just be all-star teams and fill the 5-ish gaps of a Courtney, of a Wise, of all these different people. They're in a situation where it's going to be an Ohio series, majority. Mm-hmm. I know they're going to PA, apparently. Apparently they're going to PA. They've been reaching out. They're trying to be, but the teams ain't there. This ain't super late model racing. Super late model racing has 300, fully fledged funded operations. 410 wing sprint car racing don't have that. We maybe got 100, maybe, across the country. So this is a regional battle for Ohio. I mean, don't you see it that way? I mean, the All-Stars, whatever this next All-Star is going to be, it ain't going to be 25% of what it was before it merged into High Limit.
Yeah, I guess I see it as a battle kind of Ohio, but I'll tell you this, I didn't come looking for a battle. When I got into doing this, man, I just love sprint car racing. all I ever wanted to do as a kid growing up, and I got the opportunity to do it. Heck, I thought that was the pinnacle of my life, just getting to race. Actually, it was a 305 race car I started in, and to grow to this point is kind of beyond my wildest dreams. I find myself now in this battle with these bigger series looking at us, and, I never, I didn't come looking to stir the industry or anything. I just wanted to give racers the chance. It all goes back to my old wing buddies saying, hey, when you going to do something for us? So I get into wing promoting, and 7 years later, here we are in the middle of this mess. And it's like, I've just been honest with people up front, done the best I could for people. And then you build something, and then everybody wants to try to take it away from you.
Well, and your explanation there is completely understandable, but that is when good people finally stand up and say something. When a good person goes out there and builds something on their own, and they start, hell, what's the show Yellowstone on? It's all about, kind of, you go out there, you build something with some lineage of effort, and then somebody just wants to come in and take it away. And that's where most good people finally meet their edge of, like, finally, because good people are used to saying yes. I'm sure you've experienced this. Good people are used to saying yes and okay, but when it comes to shit like this, that's when good people finally say no, and that seems where you're at.
It's funny you mentioned that. I haven't really put much thought into that, but it was really tough on me. Knowing that phone call was coming. By the way, I never got the pleasure of speaking to Mr. Sweet, just he and I one-on-one. The only call I got from him, Farmer was already on the line. That deal was already done. I didn't know, you used the term earlier, a lease deal. Maybe that was already in place because
don't know that for a fact. That's just what I'm hearing. That's just what I'm hearing. I don't know for a fact. Nobody knows.
That's the first I've heard of it, but if it makes sense though to me now, because that deal was set, pretty well done. They had already made their decision that he was running the All-Stars, and then I was going to be a paid employee who, by the way, could be fired in week number 1. So then I'm left with nothing. I guess it kind of all makes sense now. I just, heck, I forget if it was a question I was supposed to be answering. My mind just got kind of blown.
It was based on my statement of saying good people have to say no eventually.
Yeah. Going back, I know what it was, where I was headed. That conversation. I mean, I did the best I could, and Brad put it to me. I mean, he literally got a little bit. I mean, I hate to use the word angry, but his tone, got a little more sincere, asking, Aaron, I don't understand. What is stopping you from this? And it hurt me.
That's a disrespectful. That's a disrespectful sentence.
I actually said, I'm sorry to say it with Rich on the phone, but the reason why I can't do it is because of Rich Farmer. And I said, there again, you just opened my eyes to something. Yeah, I did the best I could to be the nice guy in the sport, but even us nice guys can only take so much, and we're going to come back swinging.
Right. The only people who go down and don't swing are those who are literally, I mean, not to start it off end it how we started it, they're bitches. They don't have a backbone. Real men have a backbone, and when you push them to the point, they could be as nice as they need to be or should be, but when you push us to a point and you want to take all of our effort and work that the good people put in, they're eventually going to say, fuck you. They're not going to just go down and fold on everything they built and worked for all this time. Well,
I will say this, the challenge, sometimes a little competition and a threat can be good to make you elevate your game.
Maybe.
And one of the things that we got some criticism from this year, even from some of our loyal teams, is we weren't checking or teching enough when it came to race cars. And I've already hired a tech director for next year. We haven't made that announcement, so you're hearing that right here on Chaz's show that we've got a tech director set up. I'm spending my entire holiday weekend coming up on Thanksgiving to sit down and write up a rule book. This is a well-respected former sprint car racer himself, a no-nonsense guy. We're not going to take any crap from anybody, but we are going to be weighing race cars. We weighed cars from 2019 to 2021, I believe it was. Sporadically, we didn't do it every single night, but we had a weight rule in place. And we had one car in all those years who could ever even get down to our weight rule, which The car and driver combined was 1,400 pounds. But the number of drivers who would miss scales and complain about it, that they missed the scales, I got tired of hearing it. So we just said, you know what, we're not going to weigh cars the last few years. We'll go back to weighing cars, but there's going to be a rule that it's going to be announced in the drivers' meeting that you're going to scale after qualifying, and we'll have a sign pointing you to the scales. I'll maybe even remind on the race receiver every 5 or 6 qualifiers, hey guys, don't forget scales after qualifying. The first team that comes screaming at me, because I get yelled at way too much over stupid stuff in the sport anyway, screaming at me because they missed the scales, it'll be an automatic 1 race suspension. I'm not going to put up with getting screamed at when they miss the scales.
Right.
But I guarantee you there'll be more guys miss the scales this year than there are guys who come up light.
Well,
so
the big question,
my life a little simpler.
The big question will be the wicker bill. Are you doing the 3-inch or what's happening?
No, I've been my own series and done what I thought was right from the very beginning. We've been a max 2-inch wicker bill. You can run a 1-inch, you can run 1.5 inches, you can run anything up to 2 inches. Last year, just to muddy the water, everybody was on the 1-inch. You know, we stayed with the 2-inch, which had been the industry standard for a while, and had been our standard all along. Then the Fremont Attica deal decided they were going to a 3-inch wicker bill for whatever reason. I just made everybody have a different rule. I'm just doing what I do. Like I said, I didn't come here looking for a fight or to try to steal somebody's series or anything. We're doing what we're doing, and we're doing it the best we can. And I'm doing what I think is sensible for the drivers, so we're staying with the 2-inch wicker. By the way, this year, some people had the attitude we weren't checking anything. If you guys go back and watch races that were on the cushion live, you'll see me walking around while drivers are being interviewed, looking at tires. I was checking tires, wicker bills, flat top wings. We checked a lot of that during qualifying, whoever was in the chute for me lining cars up. So we were teching race cars, but now we're looking, my new tech director, he's got his own equipment to test fuel. We'll be pulling some fuel samples, and we're going to be taking some tire samples. It's time to eliminate the tire doping. If it's going on, there's rumors of it all the time. So we're going to tackle this stuff, and we're going to be checking cars harder than the Fast Series ever had.
Okay. So you're ready. You're ready for this.
It's like I said, all it takes, maybe this is a good challenge. Talking with a announcer who is maybe willing to come on board with us, hopefully full time. Right now, he was kind of picking and choosing some races, but that's a problem we ran into. You know, when you go to a racetrack that doesn't typically race sprint cars, and we're using track announcers who aren't familiar with sprint cars, it's pretty embarrassing when you
presentation.
I would whisper a driver's name, maybe one that was tough for a guy to announce as he's getting ready to give the heat race lineup, and he would still butcher the name. And different, it's just nice to have somebody familiar with the cars and drivers. Sure makes my job easier because I'm trying to race direct while also telling the announcer, hey, these cars don't have transmissions. Some of the announcers were pretty clueless to sprint cars because we take sprint car racing to tracks that normally don't see them. I've been known for that with Brost for years, taking sprint cars to new destinations. Sometimes, we're looking back, some of them might have been a mistake in some ways, some safety issues or whatever. I try to always look at racetracks ahead of time and tackle safety head on. But, we've gone to some out-of-the-way places, a couple of West Virginia and Kentucky racetracks that, never had seen sprint cars before. And when we do that, like I said, we've got to have an informed announcer when we go to these places. So we're looking into that, and I've made an offer to a person to become the new marketing director for Brost. Brost and Fast. I've never done that before, but I reached out. This person has a marketing background, so there's more effort going in right now than there ever has been. So a challenge like this is going to elevate our game. So, and we came to play ball, that's for sure.
Okay. Is there anything else you want to say? I feel like, do you want to keep going? We can take a little break. Do you want to keep going?
If the listeners have hung on this long,
they're in it. Hold on. Will you stay on for 5 or 10 more minutes? We'll go to a commercial break. You're in.
All right. Appreciate it.
Okay. Well, don't hang up. Are you hanging up? Don't hang up now.
I'm here.
Okay. I have some things to ask you. I want to get it in on the other side. Obviously, I have the glasses on. This seems like we're coming to full vision. We'll be right back, ladies and gentlemen. More Aaron Fry on the other side. Have you been searching for that next level upgrade? Ready to invest into something that is in it for the long haul? Well, look no further than the composited innovations provided by Prime. These customly crafted pieces are handmade by former Jason Johnson Racing car chief and Prime owner-operator Clyde Knipp. Prime Composite Innovations is located centrally in Missouri and is looking to provide that big-time performance at a fraction of that big-time price. For additional information, visit prime-composites.com today to see what they have to offer, as well as their stable of current full-time drivers that trust Prime with their ride. For the future of innovations, with the properly composited type, you can depend, move forward, and rely on Prime. So we're back. We're back here on the other side. Aaron, you were just telling me some things off camera. Do you want to tell us how short Brad Sweet is or what?
What?
I'm just kidding. He did not say anything.
I was going to say, I just told you I was going to take a leak.
Did you make
right
it?
Off my porch,
I mean,
I live in the country.
Did you make it?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good now. I'm back in the house.
Okay, we're back in the house. Okay, so it sounds like an interesting situation. What would you take away if you were Brad Sweet? I didn't mean to bring him up, but do you just think he's trying to do all he can to make everything or everyone happy, or did you take anything personal away from him?
No, I mean, not really. I met him at PRI and we talked. This was a year ago as we were trying to put the Speed Week thing together. Keep in mind, Speed Week was streamed on both Flow and Dirt Vision. So, you know, we had to work out the logistics of all that. I mean, it was difficult. This farmer who insisted that his race, Attica, I forget what others, he tried to gain control of Millstream, which kind of backfired, but we ended up having to put 4 nights, I think it was, on Dirt Vision and the 5 on Flow. So Brad and I sat down, and he bent and bowed a little bit along with the powers at Flow Racing. He is not Flow Racing. He basically, you know, works alongside Flow Racing. Flow is a separate entity.
Right. Do you have the same feeling? Do you have the same feeling? Because a lot of people hear High Limit, they think Kyle Larson. I feel like the dirt world thinks Brad Sweet. But I feel like Brad's kind of the legwork and Kyle's kind of the image.
Yeah, because I've never spoken to Kyle. I mean, I say never spoken. He's won my races. I've spoken to Kyle many times. But when it comes to the business aspect of this, I've never heard of any Kyle involvement. Right. It's been Brad who's done all the business decisions I'm aware of. But individually, I like Brad. He and I got along great at PRI, but he made it very clear to me when I made it clear that they basically hired the guy or hired whatever lease. I don't know what, like you said. At first I had heard of a lease, but I thought they hired him.
Put the opposition in charge.
The guy who was trying. What's that?
Put the opposition in charge.
The guy who tried to wreck Speed Week the month leading up to it, and who went to several Speed Week shows, coming to make sure he told me how wrong I was doing things or how bad the racetrack was, whatever. They put that guy. They chose that guy who, you know, offered me money to take the whole thing out from under them and put it all on Dirt Vision. I stood true for them, and they turned their back on me and hired this guy. So that was somewhat
that relationship analogy. That relationship analogy I used earlier is very, very similar because people don't understand the relationships of this stuff is the real thing we're talking about here. It's a relationship.
Yeah. But that's, you know, but individually, I like Brad, but I think he's under some pressure. I mean, it's not a secret that High Limit lost a lot of racetracks from this season's schedule, and by
now did they hold on now a lot of people would think they didn't lose them, that other tracks picked them or something. You're saying that they were lost?
I'm pretty sure what's happening here is the
you're thinking, hold on, this is what I say. Hold on. You think start off with, you think what's happening is blah.
The All-Star name is being brought back because if they don't offer these tracks who lost money with their shows in 2024, they will lose them to the World of Outlaws and Dirt Vision. So to keep these tracks racing on Flow and under the High Limit banner, you can offer them a show for half price under the All-Star name. So
And potentially get
really a war.
And potentially get high limit drivers there.
Yeah, well, what at All-Star shows?
Maybe. I mean, if they schedule them right.
I guess possibly. Yeah, I guess. But it really boils down to really, I think, a streaming war. Dirt Vision and Flow back and forth. Flow doesn't want to lose their tracks to Dirt Vision, so you've got to find a way to give them races that they can make money on. Because let's face it, Flow is inexpensive, so they command more subscribers. So if a track puts their race on Flow, it hurts their crowd more.
Yeah.
So they had to give them a shows at a price break to guarantee making a profit for the racetrack. At the end of the day, I mean, the fans can say what they want, the teams can say what they want. None of us, your show can say what it wants. None of us can do this if we don't have racetracks that are profitable. Because it takes money to buy the insurance, to pay for the lights, to pay those 16, 18-year-old kids working the concession stand. They're not there having fun. I've been to too many racetracks and seen the employees working, and they are miserable sometimes. It is a tough racket for these racetrack promoters to keep the gates open and keep going. And, everybody thinks it's just so easy to run in there and, throw a big sanction fee out there, and we're giving away a whole bunch of free pit passes. And meanwhile, the racetrack's losing money. We won't have tracks to race on if we don't work with these guys and do this right.
Well, and see, that's where if I was Brad Sweet, I would be like, Aaron, come on, fast. If you want people there and coming to the track and all these things you say, Fast isn't a historical name like the All-Stars. The first traveling sprint car series is the freaking All-Stars. That's what made the Ohio fans mad that they're gone, and and it's the Ohio bread and butter. It's like the Buckeyes. Why would you want to keep your little sideshow thing going when you could be a part of the Buckeyes?
I appreciate All-Star history as much as anyone. Bert and Bridget were supportive of our Speed Week this year. I think people should know who that is if you're any kind of an All-Star historian. Rick Nichols, still one of my buddies. He messaged me not long ago, saying to keep up a good fight. I appreciate the All-Star history. I actually have a lot of the All-Star history here. It was given to me by Mr. Nichols. I've got a lot of the old uniforms and programs and a lot of the stuff that was from the personal collection. There again, as a historian, I try to keep that stuff, and I'm proud of the All-Star history. But, when you shelve something like that and put it away for a year, and the reason for bringing it back, if I felt it was genuine, maybe I would have been a little more supportive of it. But I think this is just a way to help fight a streaming war between Dirt Vision and High Limit, Dirt Vision and Flow. And, I didn't try to get in that war. I don't really want to be in that war. Would I take on the Dirt Vision contract right now? Yeah, probably so, because this is a pretty offensive situation. But I feel like we do have the content they need if they want extra races. The Fast Series could be the Gum Out Series they once had, that they wouldn't have to worry about policing and running. It's pretty well established. And my Boss Series is that non-wing extreme that they tried that didn't make it very long, but it's already been it's its 15th season now.
I almost feel like this is a hell of a Facebook marketplace ad. Fast winged 410s in Ohio, non-wing in Ohio and other places. Series that has a head honcho that isn't too high on how he just got fucked by Flow. Dirt Vision, please buy me. Do we need to put that sign up? I feel like that's what we're doing here. I didn't know we're doing that. No, hey, it does sound business-wise. I talk about the business of the sport. I mean, Brian Carter. I mean, who's dropping the ball right now? I mean,
I'm not trying to make it a ploy just going after that. Let me just say this. I'm selling this to the race fans. Those of you out there listening, I'm asking for your support. You all buying tickets to the racetrack helps me rebook shows for the following year. I appreciate the support from the people. I've had so many calls. My phone's blowing up right now, actually. People kind of urging me on here to open up even more. And there's still a lot of information.
The thing is, Aaron, though,
the
thing is, Aaron, you're in the fucking business. And just like I've been talking about, this business is all about these streaming companies. It is. Those are the fuckers slinging that dick around to everybody, you know, because they know they got a big one. I'm just saying. I mean, they're the ones with this expendable income because they're profiting. In my opinion, streaming companies are profiting more than anybody out there because their investment is very low in comparison to a racetrack or a promoter. Their investment is low and their return is exponential, especially when you equate their ROI is the highest percentage of anything in the sport right now.
Much higher than any racetrack promoter or race team. I can guarantee that.
So you're not trying to make it about a streaming deal. I think you're recognizing who's throwing the money around. And that kind of sounds like what's happening here is people threw money around to get their way, and they're taking away the hard work and effort of people, and they're only giving a fuck about the money.
Yes. I've got a young lady helped me do a little bit of marketing. We put a proposal together. We're starting to hit some companies now. I mean, one of my weakest points has been, well, it's from a lack of time with 2 race series and a building material business and 2 granddaughters. I'm trying to stay heavily involved with their activities. It's tough to find the time when you try to do as much as you can on your own, but we are looking for marketing partners. We're looking for heat race sponsors, even our title sponsors. Our current title sponsor, TI22 Performance, has been great, but I mean, it's not a whole lot of money. People will probably be shocked to know what we've been doing for a title sponsor the last few years. We are on the hunt. Like I said, this whole challenge has elevated our game, and we're out on the hunt. And anybody out there listening to this, if you've got a business with integrity, you need to pair with Boston Fast because I'm all about integrity.
Well, and that seems like the battle here. It's integrity versus intimidation in a way. And the intimidation is fueled by a supply fund. If I was y'all, see, I think marketing crazily. I'm like Jake Paul, you know. I'm like, find a fucking way to get Tyler Carpenter in one of y'all's cars. That'll sell some tickets, you know, or, you know, something shorty shorts. But I am curious, who is texting you to egg on? Is it Cole Duncan? Who the hell is it over there?
I'm not going to throw people under the bus like that.
Is it Tony Stewart?
No.
Hey, I had Leah Pruitt in my DMs this year. So is it Leah?
No. Well, there's a couple of numbers here I don't recognize, a Pennsylvania number and an Indiana number.
Oh,
and then
shit.
I'll have to go
you
look
got the
to see who
cartel
they are.
after you now, Aaron. This is what Broke Joe talks about, the fucking cartel.
Well, I've already told one of the kids that works for me, I said, if I wake up dead tomorrow morning, you got some suspects.
Oh, my God. Does Flo really have that kind of connection, Aaron? You're worried about your life right now?
No, it never good, Lord. You know, I love this racing industry, but I don't think that's anything we'd ever have to worry about. Of course, then I say that, and I remember Mickey Thompson, but that's another story.
Oh my! We
do have
a fan-funded question for once. You cheap bastards out there in Western Ohio, or all you people, the Southern Ohio area. I'm not trying to be mean. Matt Westfall, these nuts. I'm just kidding. No, but somebody says, will we see Fast dip into Western PA Speed Week? That's a question from Ryan Harris.
I have spoken with Tyler Bickner that runs Western PA Speed Week. The problem is they've been doing that at a much lower purse. Their car count, that's what's funny, is everybody thinks that our Speed Week didn't pay well enough, and we had really good car counts. Western PA Speed Week paid much lower than what we paid. I believe their shows were $3,000 to win, $300 to start, and it was only 5 nights, but they had car counts just as high as ours. So how they can get 55 cars, and our high is 55 cars, and
it's PA, man. Actually, it's PA. You know, that's what it is.
Yeah, but it's Western PA, not far from Ohio, and it was a lot of the same race cars. So what I've seen, and you have to see this, sometimes the more money you pay, the lower the car counts, because you attract bigger names. For every Kyle Larson that you bring in, you're going to lose 6 or 7 guys off the back who realize they have no chance of even making the A main. So they don't bother to show up. So what happened with this year's Speed Week? The best 4 or 5 all-star guys were gone to High Limit or Outlaws or wherever those guys went. And so 5 more guys showed up to replace them who said, I can win now. Another 5 showed up saying, I can make that feature now. And another 5 or 10 showed up at the back saying, man, I might even have a chance of making the feature. So guys came to race Speed Week who maybe would have stayed home before. So that's why the car counts were good. The car counts, I mean, we'll never get back to the 75 car opening night at Millstream Speedway like we had back in the 80s. But, to have close to 50 cars, I think it was 5 nights, we had over 50 cars. That was pretty daggone good compared to Speed Weeks of the last few years. And more importantly, the racetracks, most of them, all but one, made money this year, and most said they had been losing money on the last few years of Speed Week.
Well, that would be an interesting question. Obviously, you got to deal with these streaming companies a little bit. If you were to be talking to some of these track promoters or people, if you were in a discussion with the track to have a show, for instance, how much would you say that streaming is beneficial to making that ends meet?
My experience has all been in the last few years, all been dealing with the cushion, and we were giving tracks a flat amount. We changed it this year to a viewer-based deal based on number of viewers. And, it's not near. I mean, we just don't have the viewership on the cushion like you would have with Dirt Vision or Flow. So they need to fund some money to the racetracks. And from what I'm hearing, Dirt Vision pays the tracks one-on-one better money. And of course, that's why their subscription's a little bit higher. I don't even.
I'm assuming the cushion is something like some of these satellite companies. I know plenty of streaming companies that are fair with the tracks, but they usually work on a by the night style pay-per-view. It's not a subscription monthly deal and you get all the races. It's something along the lines of, you want to watch tonight, okay, the grandstand ticket's 25 or 30. The pay-per-view tonight is 25 or 30. And however many people buy that, the cut of that, 30% or 40% goes to the track, the promoter.
That would be the most fair way to do it for the racetracks.
That's how Sprint Car Limited does it as well. So, in PA.
So, and like I said, if there's a streamer, if there's somebody out there that has their own small streaming company, if none of these other big partners want to dance with us, I mean, we're open to ideas. I'm a graduate of Ohio University or at Athens, Ohio. Go Ohio Bobcats, by the way. But I've thought about contacting them. They have a media department. They are, running a whole program. I thought about maybe trying to go that route because you'd be dealing with internships and be more, the money generated could go more to the racetrack and to our series to help build a point.
And at the end of the day, if it doesn't directly fund the track promoter who's paying the fucking purse, it don't matter if you could be on Flow or be on Dirt Vision. If it don't fucking equate to money in the bank, it technically does not matter.
It goes back to what I was saying earlier. We need these racetracks to be profitable, so we have racetracks to argue about. That's what it turns into.
Well, I'm not arguing about it technically, you asshole. No,
no, I know. I just, just the drama and the, what is posted on our pages and things, and I get a kick out of it. People, I rarely reply to any comments. If you go through that one from Saturday, I may have replied to one person and it was something factual, but I don't go back and forth with people. But, I'm getting to be an older, gray bearded fella. And I learned from another older gray bearded fella to make a list and check it twice and remember who's naughty and who's nice. And, some of the people out there listening, they'll vouch that they've come to our defense on social media and said some nice things, and we slide them a free T-shirt or a hat or, a pass to a race or something like that. We see the talk, and we try to respond and get better. But the people in this industry are pretty daggone brutal, but I can take it. My father coined the term when I was a kid, said Aaron is immune to disappointment. I can get kicked in the nuts, punched in the face, screamed at all night long. And you know what? I'll be there next Saturday night putting on a show.
Well, and the problem with this industry, and I'll tell you this shit, I've been trying to tell them they don't want it. They don't want to hear this. The problem with this industry is it's not funded by the fans. The problem with this industry is it's funded by private entities, whether that is Flow, whether that is a fucking billboard at a racetrack, a title sponsor, all these little fucking people, sponsors on the race car. I got to this conclusion because the races don't pay enough, because the races don't pay enough, technically. The person who sponsors the car to be on the track is the one who controls how that car operates. And it goes the same way with the track promoters, back to the fans. The reason that the track promoters got to depend on these little bitty sponsors and all that is because they don't have enough fans coming in to operate properly. If you got enough fans coming in for your shows that are making you the fucking money, you ain't got to depend on a sponsor to buy a billboard to make it to the ends meet. This is the stuff that is inherently wrong with this sport, is it's not self-sufficient based on the fans. This is why I think, Aaron Fry, people like you and other people who are willing to stand up and say something and have a stance that people believe in that is not so dependent, and I'm not going to be mean when I say this, but like a Brad Sweet, for Flo to pay for their fucking yacht cruises and all this shit to go be fun and have, they're off the side of Perth Island. I'm just saying, they're not depending on the fans to make ends meet. They're depending on a conglomerate, a support group to make their money. They're dependent on people to support them. They're not dependent on the product and the results. And that's where these fucking track promoters, because I come from track promotion. This Chaz thing is after being in the track promotion world. So I know these depths. And these depths come from these tracks not being able to sustain profitable income on their own. And on their own means they pay for a show. Here comes the fans that pays their entry into the track that then pays for the show. Our lack of fans is the biggest problem in the sport. We need to focus on building that. But these sponsors, these Flows, these Dirt Visions, they don't want that because that takes away their power and control of dictatorship. Money is a tool, Aaron. Money is about giving something to somebody so that they do what you tell them. It's not really about I'm giving money because I love it. No, I'm giving money so that whatever I'm giving money to listens to me and does what I tell them. That's really the problem here. We don't work in an organic sense. We do have a message. Somebody wants to know, is Fast coming? Jesse James here. This is the actual motorcycle club member, Jesse James. Fast, is it coming to Tri-City in Franklin again?
Absolutely, yes. The new owners there are fantastic, and the promoter, they have reached out. I believe we're going to schedule even one of our non-wing shows there. Right now, we have 2 events on the schedule for Fast there with an option for 2 more, which depends on another racetrack. I've been promised support by all these Ohio racetracks. I have a 2-day weekend promised by an Ohio racetrack. As long as they stay true to their word, I'm going to try to stay in Ohio as much as we can. If that doesn't happen, then we may end up having a 2-day weekend at Tri-City in September. We may wind up with 4 races there, but they are putting new clay. The amount of racetracks right now stepping up their game. Pittsburgh, the biggest complaint there, the wall being a little sketchy. They're putting a new wall around Pittsburgh. The lighting there's been getting better. They've been working on that. Tri-City putting new clay on the racetrack. Several tracks are up in their game. I hear some complaints sometimes because people have in their mind they saw a bad show there. Maybe it was before my time even here, but we get complaints. Muskingum was the one track that didn't make money on Speed Week this year. It goes back to an all-star race there 4 or 5 years ago during Speed Week when it got exceptionally dusted. We paid the price for that this year. But what we've seen there is, like I said, the Moraines have been fantastic. They learned from that. We work together. Every track I deal with, if I wasn't seeing things headed in a positive direction, then we don't go back. And that may happen with a racetrack or two over this winter because we got to make sure things are headed the right direction from every racetrack. But in general, I see a lot of positive changes with the racetracks in our industry.
Now, this question honestly could determine or could be a determining factor based on if Dirt Vision gets off their ass and figures things out real quick. I know Brian Carter's too punch drunk on World of Outlaws and all this stuff, but we got a question here. Braden Lockwich says, why does Boss and Fast not run Lernerville? I'm just saying, if Dirt Vision got involved with you, I feel like that question would be answered very quickly, Aaron. But do you have an answer for this?
Yeah, sure. We ran a few races there over the years, and we had an issue. You know, we do a deal where we at the end of the night, I drop the invoice off. You know, we get paid. You know, whatever. We had a short field one night, and Ricky Lewis, my two-time now Boss champion, by the way, follow his exploits out on the West Coast all winter long. That guy races all year. He had a second race car, and we had, I believe it was 17 cars in the field. And at 18 cars, we go to 3 heat races. We were trying to find a driver to get in Ricky's backup car. And so we were going to have an 18-car field. I was physically going to drive it at one point. Another person said they might. We didn't know for sure who was going to wind up in it. Anyway, nobody wound up in it. We wound up with 17 cars, but on our entry sheet, everything showed 18 cars. At the end of the night, I turned in a bill with 18 cars, and it was, you know, they realized there was 17. Honest mistake on my end. I mean, when you go through race directing a show, anybody who's ever been in the position, you know, you could understand there's 1,000 people, it seems like, pulling at you all these different directions. I just remember the lineup sheet showed 18 cars. I bill for 18 cars. The mistake is brought to my attention, but in a very, very unprofessional way. I mean, I couldn't even say a word.
So they were disrespectful to you. They were mean.
And it wasn't just in that incident. They've been pretty disrespectful in a lot of other areas.
I've heard that Lernerville, what's up with that? Why is Lernerville like that? I've heard that from several people.
I'm not going to go into it. This was me and one person who I don't think owns the place, but just was managing whatever. I don't know. I'm not going to go into too many details here, but the amount of disrespect, I mean, I wanted to follow up with a phone call Monday or a week later or even a month later. And I didn't, I just didn't feel like I needed. I knew that I wasn't planning to go back there. And by the way, another one that I almost forgot about. So they had a falling out with the cushion, which had nothing to do with me or my employee. My employee shows up at the same race, by the way, with a cushion shirt on, ready to video for us. And that had never been a problem before. And they had a problem with the cushion. This same gentleman who disrespected me grabbed our video equipment and was threatening to throw it out of the bleachers and had my guy escorted off the property and kicked out. A guy who was part of my staff. He doesn't work for the cushion. We contract through the cushion, and I was paying this individual to work for me. My driver.
Wow.
When he came charging at me, this is long before
charging. Hold on. What do you mean charging?
Marching emphatically toward me, looking like a charging bull, up to scream at me over this about getting this guy out of the place and no cushion and blah 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 whatever. And you know, my drivers, I would say there was at least 6 or 8 people, 3 or 4 of them were drivers we were at Pill Draw before the night began. And they witnessed this whole thing go down, and their look at me was like, wow. And I was like, yeah, you guys see the crap I deal with here. So, you know, with that happening and then what happened later in the night, it just, the whole thing, it's just like I didn't feel a need to explain myself to anybody. We're just done here. And so anyway, will we ever get back to Lernerville?
I've heard a lot of bad things from Lernerville, a lot. So.
I'm not going to go into that. I mean, I you know, you hear it. Even before the people they're promoting now, the purses there were much lower than the rest of the industry. And I know the drivers complain about that. It is a historic racetrack. It's a very nice racetrack. And, you know, it gets race cars. So they'll get their race cars. But, you know, Tri-City moved to Friday nights this year. And I think that's what their move might be, is thinking, well, if there's disgruntled people, we'll run on Friday night. I had nothing to do with that. I'm not, I just try to take care of my business and my race teams and my racetracks that want to work with me. I'm not looking to stir trouble with anybody, and just, I don't care. Even you were going into the whole streaming thing about, how they're controlling where, I don't care. I want to race. I want to put on good races. I want the fans to enjoy it. I love meeting the fans. People will catch me sometimes at our souvenir trailer, and, I try to be personable and shake hands with everybody, and I appreciate them coming out and supporting the show. I just wish all that would go away, all the drama and streaming and all the fighting and whatever. I just want to put on good racing. Let's have fun.
Well, but it ain't going to go away. We'll keep an eye on the super chats for the record if y'all want to ask a question. But that's just kind of what you're dealing with, though, Aaron. You're dealing in a scenario that has to deal with these things. You can't escape them.
Yeah.
It's kind of like politics this year. Like, I feel like so many people voted just based on cultural norms. They're tired of their, I experienced this in Dallas. A friend of mine who's a black guy, he says, I'm tired of he said, my white guy, my white friend, I'm tired of you being called a racist, and I'm tired of me being called a victim. It's like you have to, at some point, enact in some kind of way to combat these kind of global, I don't want to call it a global phenomenon, but in the dirt racing world, these are global phenomenons. These streaming companies, these little wars, these little battles, these are a part of our little ecosystem, our little world. And if you just sit back and don't try to do something about them, it will dictate how you operate.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean,
I agree. So
I know you don't want to deal with it. You're just trying to be a good old guy who's doing the right things, but at some fucking point, you gotta say no. You gotta choose. You gotta make decisions. What's some of the hardest things you've had to decide in this situation?
Well, just losing what I thought was my biggest ally and one of my best friends in the sport. That's the toughest thing I've dealt with.
Are you referencing Farmer in that? Are you referencing Farmer?
Yeah, no secret about it. And the thing is, do I like the guy? Yeah, I like the guy. Like I said, heck, he helped get my little midget going. We were proud of that. We were friends. We still are friends. I don't want to misrepresent that statement. If he called me up right now, we'd have a conversation. We don't scream and yell at each other or nothing. But, I just, he proved he was willing to go against me, upstage me, whatever. And you can't go to work for somebody like that. You can't partner. I mean, I'll still be friends, be social, whatever, but I just can't, I can't do business together.
Do you think that you're struggling? Hold on. Well, hearing both sides on that, kind of hearing both sides. Do you think that you're struggling with, Farmer potentially being like, why won't you just come work with me, versus Farmer seeing like, you see all the work I fucking done. Here's why I'm not working for you. Like, do you feel like you're struggling in that kind of bubble? And once again, Flo, this girl running around selling Progressive Insurance, is the one kind of, insinuating or enticing you to make these choices. Both of y'all,
Yeah. Had there been a partnership, I would have had to have owned 50.1%. Or something, because I'm not going to give up control. Not that I'm a control
right.
freak.
No, I was about to say, when you said that, it's not about the greed.
Yeah.
It's about the work ethic.
Yeah.
Is that?
It just goes back to what I said earlier when I said that about if people out there had businesses with integrity and wanted to join us. It comes back to the word integrity, and I feel like there was a lot of things, not just with one individual, with several individuals involved in this situation, just a lack of integrity. I mean, it's just do the right thing, and it's just everybody, I encourage everybody out there to live by that, because you know what? Good things come back to you when you live like that.
Right. Well,
I have gotten 2 text messages in the last few minutes from people reminding me that we may be losing listeners because we've kept this going too long.
Oh, no. We've sustained. Oh, no, we just got super chats. We ain't got a new one yet. I'm sure there's people who want to pay. I don't know. I know I got to give you a cut. Like, I'm not as bad as Flo. But I'm just saying, like, no, there's people still listening. They care about what you're saying, Aaron. Don't let these naysayers, that sounds like an undercover operative for Farmer. Get rid of that person. Block that son of a bitch on your phone right now. They're trying to take away your confidence, Aaron. Take away your confidence. That's what they're doing.
Shoot.
Don't let them take away your confidence. That's what they're after. These companies and these people, they're after making you feel small enough that you don't feel big. It's all about taking your confidence away so that you do not speak up, that you just stay quiet.
Well, to tell you the truth, I don't know what more there is to tell you about. We pretty well covered the bases here.
Well, we did have the few questions about Lernerville. That's interesting. I know you're saying I should let you go, but I got two questions for you. I got personal questions. How about that? I got two personal questions. Have you ever been to the Chili Bowl?
I have not. I've watched it. The very first one was not available on TV anywhere, but by golly, ESPN, good old Speed Week on ESPN. I'm probably talking about things that some of the younger listeners have no idea, but Thursday Night Thunder, ESPN was such a big deal. I've still got DVDs from highlights from the very first Chili Bowl. I followed along, but that's, like I said, I own another business. That's pretty well a week-long deal. And everybody that goes out there comes home sick for a week. It seems like they call it the Chili Bowl flu.
Yep. By the way, the only year the Chili Bowl flu did not exist was the year we had to wear masks. It's true. It's true. I mean, it's true. I mean, maybe the masks work in some aspects. I'm not saying we should be wearing them, but I was there with Jeff Gordon and all these fucking, wear a mask people. I did not have the flu that one year I went. I've went probably 6 times, I think. But that was the one year I did not have the Chili Bowl flu, was when I wore a mask.
I do need to get to it because I try to get to every type, of event I can. I try to get to as many different racetracks as I can. I think I'm around 200 different racetracks. I think I raced on over 80 different tracks myself. That's kind of a hobby of mine, seeing as many tracks as I can. So I need to get out there. I'll try to make that happen. But, when you do what I do every weekend all year long with 2 series, and I do go to other events. I caught the USAC Silver Crown race at Terre Haute. Got to watch some of my boss guys run well in that one. I get to other events, but, you get to this time of year, I'll tell you the truth, I'm glad to get a little bit of a break. We all need a break from time to time. My high school is going for a 3rd state football championship and playing well right now. I'm going to try to hit a football game and watch a little bit of ice hockey. I go to Ohio University hockey games. I try to enjoy my off season. So, that way when March rolls around and we have our season opener, March 15th at Pittsburgh, I'm fresh and ready to go through another somewhat grueling, about 8 months, I think it is, we go through starting in March and running through October.
Well, okay, so second question. This is going to be controversial, I think, for Kyle Larson in particular. We know Kyle watches this show. He's my biggest fan. So this is a question. And the reason I bring up Kyle Larson is because this is Kyle's kryptonite, Aaron. It truly is. I still stand by this. I think this guy could do everything that Kyle's done, but I think he could do it better. And you honestly, I'm going to pose the question, I hope you have an opinion on this guy. There's a guy, and I'm not even going to name his name. I'll name it at the end because I had this explanation with somebody else when I told them I was going to have you on the show. And I was like, I'm going to bring this fucking subject up because he has to know. There's a guy who is from the South, Oklahoma area, Texas, Arkansas. He ran some midgets out of a little, storage shelter, basically. It was like $85 a month. He also ran ASCS 360 cars in the South. And then, to make his racing dreams come true, after destroying everyone in that area, he got the opportunity, I believe, after that in the South, to go run with Rick Ferkel, which you have to know who Rick fucking Ferkel is. I hate to cuss, but you have to know. It's an Ohio Traveler. I'm just saying there.
Right.
And then
I know very well what racer you were talking about.
And then hold on. And then after going up to Ohio, he goes to Keith Coons. He runs a midget. He wins a World of Outlaws sprint car race on a flatbed trailer with a car that nobody thought could ever win. Even Keith Coons said this. We interviewed about this. And then he goes to NASCAR because Kyle Larson chose to move from Toyota. Kyle Larson was a TRD driver. He moved to Chevrolet because Chevy and Ganassi gave him a chance. It opened the door for this driver to go to the NASCAR route. This driver, and this is a personal story I can't believe I'm telling. This driver, a couple months into the Toyota development deal, started crying on the phone. Hold on. We got to get Aaron back. Hold on. We got to get Aaron back. The phone ended.
I don't know how we got.
Can you hear me, Aaron? Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Something did.
You're there? You're there, though?
Yeah, I'm here. Yeah.
This driver, once he went to TRD, I was told, Toyota, this is the, I think, segment, told him he can't run dirt as much as he wants to. And this driver in a trailer started crying. And when people walked up to him and said, "Why are you crying?" the response was, "Because I love dirt track racing. I love sprint car racing. I can't believe I'm being faced with this choice." And he was fucking bawling his eyes out in a trailer because this fucking, not Flo, right? We're not talking about Flo anymore, Aaron. We're talking about the fucking man. The real man. Not the fake man, the real one. And it was his only choice to make it. And he's competed in the NASCAR Cup Series. And like you said, you already know who I'm talking about. I'm talking about Christopher Bell, who is the guy who made Kyle Larson cry. Christopher Bell was so much better than Kyle. He made him cry after he passed him on the last lap at the Chili Bowl. He made him fucking bawl like a little bitch, like Caitlin did with the whole Kading situation. I'm not even getting into that. But the apparent chains are off. Apparently, Aaron, I don't know if you heard about this, Christopher Bell can run dirt racing now. And that
I've heard.
That's the kryptonite to Kyle. I'm curious on your opinion of your thoughts on Christopher Bell because you got to see him in that era I'm talking about. Who is Christopher Bell to you? That's what I want to know. Go ahead, continue.
Christopher Bell came and ran a few races with me, 2019, 2020, maybe 2021. I can't remember exactly what years, but he ran a few races with us, and he won a big event, a $10,000 to win race with my Fast Series.
How old was he?
And 15? Well, I can tell you this. It was the day he announced he had signed that morning his NASCAR contract, his first entry into NASCAR in the 95 car. I don't even follow NASCAR anymore. I gave up on that years ago. I don't do scripted racing. But Christopher came to me. It was at Fremont Speedway, and Christopher came to me so excited to tell me. He said, "Man, I got something to tell you." He called me Mr. Fry, and that made me very uncomfortable. I was like, "Dude, I'm Aaron. Just let's keep it real here." But he was so excited to tell me he had signed his Cup deal, but he couldn't announce it yet. He could not let anybody know. He was even whispering it to me. And so I took that information with me on for the night. But he comes on after a heat race win in a 410 sprint car, knowing he's going NASCAR racing, Cup racing, and comes to me, and he was so excited about winning this heat race. He's doing the little hand like when a driver's explaining how he made his move. And so it was genuine how excited he was racing a sprint car. And then he goes on to win the main event, $10,000. And I had whispered to the track announcer in the tower that we can't announce it yet, but he's going cup racing. The announcement comes out Monday. And what does the announcer do? Puts him on the spot and said, we hear you've got a big announcement to make on Monday. And sure enough, Monday morning, it was announced that Christopher Bell was going NASCAR cup racing. So my thing about saying this, and Kyle Larson's won some of my races, good guy. He's a quiet guy, but he was very respectful. I have your show and what you're doing and talking about these guys, this doesn't all reflect back on me.
No. I don't want nothing back reflected on Kyle. You. No, I don't want that either.
But Christopher Bell, the genuineness, the genuine excitement that he had about racing a 410 sprint car with what was on the horizon for that kid. I've told a lot of people. I ran into a person the other day that asked about my racing T-shirt, and all they knew was NASCAR, and they were a fan of some guys who didn't even ever run dirt, I don't think. And I told them, I said, if you're looking for somebody to be a fan of, Christopher Bell, because of how genuine he was. And I've had a few of those guys. Alex Bowman's raced with us. There's been 3 or 4 of those.
But Bell's different.
And they're all good guys, but I'm just saying the genuine excitement. And he was still a kid pretty much at the time, but Christopher Bell was the real deal, and I'll never forget that. That's been one of my favorite memories of this entire promoting 15-year career for me.
Well, and you could be responsible for introducing him to his wife. Technically, it's Mackenzie Kiminaw, I believe, was the person he ended up being. I'm not sure about the Macedo deal in Tulsa, but wasn't it Mackenzie Kiminaw, which is Chad Kiminaw's, or no, Brad Kiminaw, right? Or how's that?
Brian Kiminaw,
the crew chief guy. Yeah. So
I'm not gonna go down the road into personal relationships.
No, I didn't say nothing like that. I just think that people don't know. How did Christopher Bell meet her or whatever? It was this Ohio string.
Yeah. Racing about keeping, how many people have been introduced to their spouse from racing. My own situation, my daughter married a racer from my Boss series. So, just through the years, racers, when you're around this many people, let's face it, we're really like one big family as it is, the whole racing industry. That's something else I'm very proud of, because I don't know if there's another industry involved that's a sporting type industry that is as close as the racing industry is. And I'm proud of that fact.
Well, and I've been saying this, so I want your opinion on this, Aaron. We can keep going. We can end it whenever you want. I know you got your people texting you. Our numbers are fine. Our numbers are fine. Whatever these people are texting you, they're lying to you. But I'm curious on this. So before the N-word era of Kyle Larson, which when I say that, I'm saying once he said that word or whatever, and then he went full-time dirt racing, and then all the things that's happened ever since. Prior to that era, you could have had a legitimate debate on who's better, Christopher Bell or Kyle, because Bell had beat Kyle so many times in a one-on-one scenario. He took him out at Lawrenceburg. I'm going to stand by that. Kyle was jealous. He always is. This is what Keith said as well. But after that had happened, when he said that, and this is back to the local racer, even your local guys in Ohio. I say this about local racers all the time. I say racing is opportunity-based. There's so many great drivers, and even Kyle, outside of money getting you somewhere, you have to get the opportunities to get somewhere. Mm-hmm. And so prior to the Kyle Larson saying that, Bell and Larson had kind of had the same opportunities to drive the same kind of cars somewhat. But after that, Kyle had so many more opportunities than Bell. He got to go run sprint cars full time. He got to go run a late model. He got to go run Indy car. He got to go do all these things. And now you can't even have that discussion based on the privilege of Kyle having more opportunities than Bell. I stand firm, and you can disagree or disagree. I stand firm on saying that if Christopher Bell had the same opportunities as Kyle has gotten, he would do just as good, if not better. Kyle Larson and Christopher Bell, at a minimum, Aaron, are the same. I think Bell's better, but I think anything Kyle can do, I can do better than you, in my opinion, with Christopher Bell. Question.
Well,
I mean,
think,
honestly, he hasn't got to do all the same things, but if he got to,
if you're asking me which one's better, I'll go with this answer that the best one will come and race with Fast in 2025.
oh my God, you political son of a bitch. That is not what I'm asking. You know that's not what I'm asking, you son of a bitch. I knew it, you
I'll tell you
AJ
this,
Foyt.
they are both very talented individuals. They both have won with me, and I'm proud to have them both on my list of winners. By the way, Kyle Larson goes back to being, I believe, the very first Jack Hewitt Classic winner that was under the Boss name. It wasn't a Boss point-paying event, but it was sanctioned by Boss. That would have been, I'm pretty sure, 2012. So not only has Kyle Larson won with Fast, he's won a Boss race in the past, and only two other drivers. And I got to give a shout out. I believe Ricky Peterson's listening to this broadcast. Ricky Peterson and Brandon Spithaler, my 2024 champion, I believe are the only other two drivers who have ever won both with and without the wing with my 2 series. So Kyle fits in that category.
Well, you don't. You're deflecting the question. That's fine. That's fine. You're being political. I feel like I'm talking to Michael Rigsby right now. That's fine. But I'm just saying, Aaron, Kyle's already aligned with Flo. You think that Chris Bell might not align with Dirt Vision? You might want to play the sides. I'm just talking futuristic.
At this point,
in my opinion, anything Kyle can do, Chris can do better. If Chris can do at least the same, if not better, he's proven it.
Yeah. At this point, it doesn't matter to me who aligns with what, but if Christopher Bell starts his own streaming and wants to pick up the Fast and Boss tours,
my God!
I'm like I said, it's I'm just worried about taking care of my 2 series and my drivers. And if you want to get into the
I just wanted your personal opinion. That's all. I just
wanted
your personal opinion. I just wanted your personal opinion, nothing else. On Bell and Larson. What's your personal opinion on Bell and Larson? That's all. Versus Larson.
I gave it to you. They both are very talented race car drivers, way above, my ability ever was. I respect both of them. Kyle was a lot quieter. Of course, he was also, I think, a little older at the time whenever he would come, run my events. Christopher Bell was, like an excited kid, just so excited to be there. It was just a genuine excitement about driving a race car. Both of them very good drivers. They both treated me with 100% respect, and wish them both the best, and hopefully see them at my races again someday.
Well,
but I'm not. I mean, like I said, I can't really differentiate between them. They didn't race with me that much. I think Bell ran with me 4 or 5 events, and Larson probably about the same. They both run about the same number of events with me.
You watch them though, right? I mean, you watch the sport.
Yeah.
I mean, we're just talking now. We're just talking. I ain't trying to put you on a spot. I know I keep pushing, but I'm curious. I mean,
well, wait, when you said watch them, I mean, I unfortunately don't watch Bell race anymore. My Sunday is about getting press releases, write-ups done, point standings figured, washing trucks and trailers. When I say I don't watch NASCAR anymore, I'm not kidding. I mean, I don't really either. I lost the interest in that years and years ago. And the weird thing is, I grew up idolizing NASCAR. I was on an ARCA pit crew for a while, but like I said, once I fully devoted myself to sprint car racing as a driver in 1999, I didn't have time. I mean, who's got time for that stuff?
No, I'm not saying NASCAR at all. We both watch these guys on dirt. I think dirt racing is where you judge talent. Cup racing is the race car. It's not the race car driver, in my opinion. This is why NASCAR people don't like me, because I talk about our dirt stuff. Like a Brandon Spithaler, for instance. Like you mentioned him. I think I think he stepped on his dick versus Sheldon a few years ago at Attica. But me personally, if I was Jake Pauling the situation, I would promote Braden Spithaler just as talented as Max Verstappen. I actually talked about this with Tyler Courtney's brother, Taylor Courtney, because he wanted to fight me or whatever because of the Kofoid situation. But I told him, I was like, they want to talk about Max Verstappen versus Kyle Larson. Like, Max Verstappen probably couldn't make the A main in the Fast Series, to be honest with you. This is how I judge talent, Aaron. Like, you can't get down on these dirt tracks with our boys unless you can drive. I don't consider cup drivers drivers. You know, I consider our guys drivers. So when I was saying you've seen them race, I wasn't talking about cup racing. That doesn't matter to me. When I say seeing race, I'm talking about like Larson and Bell in these dirt cars where the actual competition is.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah.
100%. I know you probably want to get our viewers has actually went up since we started talking about this. I don't know who's texting you and said it's went down. It's probably some Larsonite, but our viewers have went up. We do have a super chat for you, Aaron, and I can send you all the dollars that this is sent. This is the Bent Rim podcast, one of the biggest podcasts on YouTube. They sent a super chat, $5. You're a $5 hoe, Aaron. I am too, apparently. It says,
I tell you what, if there's really any money to be made in something like this, I'm going to throw something out there. We had a driver get hurt at Atomic Speedway on our finale, October the 12th. And anybody listening, the Steve King Foundation's involved. Driver Ryan Myers, a good friend of mine, built motors for my son-in-law when he was winning boss races. He got hurt, broke his L1 vertebrae. You know, there's a little bit of racetrack insurance involved, but he did not have a STIDA package. Probably will if he races again. I encourage all drivers to do that. But I know there's been some donations sent. Any money coming in, you know, hey, Jack Hewitt would probably say, hey, $5 is $5.
right.
But anybody looking to do anything like that, you know, this isn't about the money for me. This is about the love and passion for the sport. But we've taken up a little collection. We've sent Ryan some money, some help. One member of my family went and helped in his machine shop for a day to finish some jobs up. Anybody wanting to donate anything at all, Ryan Myers, these racers that get hurt, reach out to them. Any of them, the BC, Driven to Save Lives, that helped us tremendously. Justin Owen was not just a racer with me. He was a friend. Yeah. My daughter dated his car owner years ago. I got really close with Justin. You know, thank goodness the BC Foundation stepped in and helped with that accident. We miss Justin, still racing his memory. So I still think about that kid just about every day of my life.
Yeah.
But anybody that's looking to donate, if your heart's in that place, you know, I don't want it. If there's anything generated out of this podcast that you're talking about sending my way, send it to Ryan Myers. Or send it to me, and I'll get it to Ryan Myers anyway.
Well, and also that's the foundation to my arrogance or arrogance of our drivers and stuff like that. Is it really pissed me off? You can go document this too, Aaron. It really pissed me off to know we have all these talented drivers, and the only fucking time this world cares about them is when they go and fucking make their last corner. You know, Brian Clausen's fiance said this shit. She said, all these people showed up after Brian passed away. Where were they when he was racing? Mm-hmm. You know, this is I mean, I could cry if I wanted to, but this is a foundational aspect to why I up-talk these guys, because they get no fucking respect by this world around us at all until they die, until they're Kevin Ward Jr., until they're Brian Clausen, until they're one of these fucking guys who don't fucking make it through the corner. And so, and it's fucked up. Even your reference there. I didn't hear nothing about this guy until he died, right? I didn't hear nothing fucking about him.
Justin ran with us. Ironically, he won four boss races, driving the car number 4. So when we did our 4 white salute all of last season, we left the pole open, you know, the missing man formation, and didn't want to you can't carry that kind of stuff on forever. We do it at a Memorial Race
My
Series
point.
every
My
year
point
now,
is, you got
but
those
we're a
guys.
major player in our series.
You have those guys in your field right now. You know, you have these guys racing for you right now. Until it's his last fucking corner, he don't matter. That's bullshit for the ability that they have.
Yeah.
That's bullshit. So when people see me get mad and frustrated, that's what I'm mad about. That's what I get pissed off about. That's why I degrade the NASCAR guys. Your NASCAR guys get pushed on a fucking TV screen and they can't do half of what our guys are doing. Until they fucking die, then you care about them. Then you want to mention their fucking name. Fuck you. I'm going to come out here and defend them like they're already dead because that's the only time you give a fuck about knowing who they are.
I told you I do a lot of historical work and working on a book about Ohio's racing history. I've got documented, I think we're at 151 right now, the number of drivers buried in the state of Ohio that I try my best as we travel the state. We stop in a lot of cemeteries and you'll see a checkered flag from time to time on a grave. And that's me doing that. There's 151 of them buried around the state of Ohio. From the first one, this is something that'll your listeners can learn something new today. The first auto racing fatality was Frank Stanley Day, and he was killed in 1904. He's buried in Columbus, Ohio. The first auto racing fatality in the United States, and then and right up to Justin Owen just a year ago, we 151 of them. And my series, I try to implement that in there with the history work. In the off season, we typically do a Turn Back Tuesday where we'll post historical stuff. I definitely remember those guys. They'll be mentioned in the book, a memoriam page. But yeah, you're right about that. It seems like, a lot of people don't care about the little guy until they get hurt.
Right. Oh, and that's why you're on my fucking show, because this is the fucking foundation to the problem.
I've had a couple people actually reach out to me and donate a little bit of money because, in the off season especially, I'll travel around, spend a whole Saturday just going, cemetery to cemetery, spend almost daylight till dark putting flags on some graves. And I've had a few people send money to cover the cost of the flags and the fuel expense it takes to do that. But I love the state of Ohio. I love racing, always have, and that's why I do what I do.
Well, and it's when you explain that, it's not about just loving the state of Ohio. You're loving people, and that's where this whole Chaz thing is even here, because of the love of people. Because I was at these racetracks trying to be a good old boy, tell them what it is, and as good as you can, as nice as you can. I sent fucking week after week results, hype, every fucking piece you could think to the local area news outlets, and they didn't give a fuck. Sunday morning, 6 a.m., they're calling that fucking racetrack when Brian Clausen died. Sunday morning, 6 a.m., they're calling that track when Kevin Ward Jr. got hit. And I started realizing no matter how much work and effort I put into promoting this guy, this world don't give a fuck about him until he goes in that corner, flips off in the woods, burns to death, and dies. And that ain't fucking right, man. And so that's why I've got as vocal as I have. And this is honest. This is the truth. That's why this channel exists, because of that. Because I'm out here, whether I got to take these bullets from these Brad Sweets or whoever, Jades or whatever, I'm going to sit here and say that these guys are worth your attention. And why are they worth your attention? Oh, because it costs so much money to go to NASCAR. Oh, because your boys on TV every week who get recognition, they get the recognition. These guys over here who are doing just as much, if not better, are getting no recognition by the world around us. Nobody knows they exist. If they die, they do, though. Then they'll know who your name is, who your guy is. This is the foundation to the Chaz. It's about standing up or saying something about these people who are underrepresented in society. And I think people like you, Aaron, in your position are facing that same battle in this scenario because you're not in the conglomerate like they are. So they can push these motherfuckers up as much as they want. They can push other promoters or farmers up. They tried to, right? Like, if this show don't happen, Farmer's the god who saved the All-Stars. Who cares about the other side? Nobody talked about the other side, right? No one cared about you.
Yeah.
No one's nobody's putting a fucking video out today about or anything out about how Aaron Fry did all this work and the little guys getting put. No, they push Farmers saving the All-Stars, and here comes the guy who's going to make it all better again. They don't give a fuck about you until you flip off in the woods and die. Unless you die and go work for them. It's the same fucking thing.
Yeah, exactly. So, all right.
I'm sorry.
Well,
sorry. It's an emotional topic. It's an emotional topic, Aaron. I know you need to go. The comment that was left, and I think this is the best if you got to go. The Bent Rim podcast did say on here, we got $10 worth of super chats. I'll send it to you if we need to. He says here.
To Ryan Myers. I tell you what, this is starting to remind me of the Titanic, though. We've been going on for 2.5 or 3 hours, and we wound up talking about people dying. So I think we've done enough here.
Well, life and death is why I get so mad, Aaron. That's all. But anyway, Bent Rim Podcast said, wish Aaron the best this upcoming season and towards his future endeavors. Aaron seems to be a stand-up individual. And if that's what people can take away from this, then that's exactly what we were going for.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I appreciate the kind words. I did have one person send me a screenshot showing some comments. I haven't read all of it, whatever. I try to do my best to keep up on all the social media sites. Anybody wants to get a hold of me, I'm an easy person to reach. I appreciate the support, and we hope to have a successful 2025 season.
Can't listen to the haters, Aaron. You can't listen to the haters.
I don't. I do. Like I said, I do what I do, and going to continue to do what I do as long as the public will support us, and the racers will come to the races, and the tracks will book the shows. We're going to keep doing what we do.
Well, they know you're a good person, and they're going to try to prey on that good emotional side. So don't allow yourself to be manipulated by evil people. That's all I would say.
I think I've done a pretty good job standing up so far. When it finally you get pushed far enough, you finally put an end to it.
Okay.
So
I'm sorry I got so frustrated. I'm just that was. Your situation at Lawrenceburg. Great. So.
All right.
Okay. Well, thank you for calling in, Aaron. I'm sorry I drug you out for almost 3 hours. I understand. I'm sorry.
I think we're just shy of 2.5. It's not so bad.
2:26 according to the timer, but I listen to the soul, not the time.
You listeners out there, if you hung in with us this long, like I said, kudos to you. Appreciate it, and hope to see you at a racetrack this summer.
Was there a link to support these groups you were talking about?
The Steve King Foundation, I mean, I'm sure they've got a website. I don't know exactly what it is. And like I said, our information on our site, our website, by the way, is bossfastsprints.com, because I try to treat both series equally. The ESPN dropping the coverage of non-wing sprint car racing back in the 90s really hurt the wingless industry when wing racing was on TNN, Speed Channel, about every other network. So wing racing is more popular, but I try to put my Boss series in there too. So bossfastsprints.com is the website, and our Facebook pages. We're easy to contact us. Anybody that wants to send any money to Ryan Myers or really any other, I think that's something else we're going to implement as a injured drivers fund. And when I alluded earlier to people complaining when they miss the scales, me getting yelled at unjustly, if I fine somebody or penalize, money like that needs to roll up any donations people make, for when we do have situations like this.
Right.
So anybody that wants to help out, I would really appreciate it.
Okay. Well, I mean, thanks for taking the risk. I mean, it's the Chaz. You never know. Tomorrow you'll wake up and everybody will hate you. Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
Well, it's par for the course. Got to deal with that already. So
okay. Well, thank you for giving me 2 hours and 28 minutes of your time.
No problem, buddy. You
All
take care and hope to be on again sometime.
Thank you.
I'll see you.
There it was, ladies and gentlemen. I really don't know what to say. I know y'all got some Christopher Bell comments, you assholes, but I thought that was great. Aaron fighting the system. Aaron not allowing the system to control him. The system goes deeper than you think. Somebody says, Chaz, get out and show us these guys that deserve recognition. That's what Inside the Dirt was. Y'all didn't support it, though. That's fine. Melissa says, just wait till Cole is behind the wheel. I don't know what that means. Anyway, thanks for tuning in, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, we can put your chat up if you want. Hold on, let's see. There you go. Great stuff, Chaz. Ken Joseph saying there. Stream is still going, but we are going to get off here. It is on the 2 hour and 30-minute aspect. I did not expect Aaron to hold on that long. You know, I mean, we possibly just blew up. We shot a nuke at the system. What is the system going to do now? I'm fucking scared. We'll see. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for tuning in. Hopefully you enjoyed the show. We tried to get everywhere we could. We're not calling Brad Sweet. If Brad Sweet wants to call in, we are here. I mean, I could text Brad. I really don't think he'll respond. He hasn't responded recently because he knows. He knows. He comes on the Chaz. He ain't just going to, it ain't going to be a flow racing controlled situation. It's going to be real. It's going to be raw. It's going to be emotional. Some of these people don't want you to know these things. They would rather be Kamala on the Shay than Trump on Joe Rogan. As Donnie Shot says, this is the Joe Rogan of dirt. Not everybody wants to come on. It's fine. Thoughts on Deets to the 23? I don't know what to tell you. Fried chicken on your own time. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, like the video, comment below. Subscribe button is somewhere down there, and so is the membership deal. I enjoyed having Aaron Fowl on the show. Hopefully you can think about some things. As always, ladies and gentlemen, we will catch you next time. Thanks for tuning in.
Ready to rip, ready to reach. Place my bets, hey, you never know when playing on host what you could achieve. Making the go, peace with the soul, don't matter the bottle with what you believe. Cause if I'm taking it all in the calling, it's harder with nothing that's harder than free. Not